Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Hiashi wants Naruto to marry Hinata. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Flower Princess 11 and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1, The Blessings. Naruto was sweating bullets and he stood just outside the Hyuga compound. He has been here before but the estate just looked so intimidating for some reason. He knew why though. Inside was Hinata's father, Hiashi Hyuga, one of the strictest and most stoic men in the entire village. Naruto knew that Hiashi seemed to have loosened up over the years and he, Hinata and Hanabi have been closer than ever and he was happy about that. Naruto couldn't believe it. He faced Orochimaru, Pain and even freaking Kaguya without a second thought, and right now he was nervous about talking to his girlfriend's father. Naruto only met him a few times since he started dating Hinata. When Hinata announced they were dating, Hiashi was silent for a long time that it made him very uncomfortable, until voiced his approval, and left. Naruto wondered if he was really thinking it over or if he did it on purpose to bug him. He would probably never know. Naruto knew he needed to talk to the man today. His girlfriend was on a mission in Suna and won't be back for a few days and he probably wouldn't get another chance to ask him. Naruto was going to ask his beautiful and wonderful Hinata to marry him and tradition states he needed to ask the father permission before he proposed. Naruto hated those stuffy customs and wanted to just fault out ask Hinata but even he knew that the Hyugas were very traditional and old-fashioned and while he knew Hinata would likely agree to marry him, she would rather do it by the book. So that's why he was here. He was planning on taking Hinata on a special date when she got back from her mission. He's been saving up and planning it for weeks now, but he still had to ask Hiashi. Kami give me strength, Naruto muttered as he found his nerve and approached the estate where a servant greeted him. It was a branch member named Madoka. She was very nice and was more of a friend to him and Hinata, though she still insisted with honorifics. Naruto-sama, it's a pleasure to see you once more, Madoka greeted as she invited him inside. Is Hiashi-sama here? Naruto asked nervously, surprising Madoka in the process. Why yes, he's in his office right now. Do you wish to see him? Madoka asked and Naruto nodded almost too fast. I'll inform him that you're here. Madoka left, leaving Naruto alone in the courtyard. Several others members of the Hyuga clan saw and greeted him, and some children ran up to him. Naruto-sama. Some of the children surrounded him and greeted him, asking him about his latest missions and how he was doing. While he has received this kind of attention since the war, and while the Hyuga clan did respect him for his actions, him saving Hinata and Hanabi, along with the world during the Moon Crisis, made most of the clan, particularly the younger generations, more receptive to him, and they were all thrilled when it was announced he and Hinata were dating. One child, a girl named Yuko, asked if he was going to marry Hinata when Naruto came over to help Hinata spar. Needless to say, it embarrassed the young couple until her mother apologized for the child's bluntness. Now children, settle down. Naruto-sama is busy, Madoka said as she came back. Hiashi-sama will see you now, Madoka said as she guided the blonde until he reached the office. Thank you, Madoka. That will be all, Hiashi said as he dismissed his maid. Naruto was now alone with Hiashi. There was no turning back now. Good afternoon, Uzumaki-san. How have you been? Hiashi said politely to the blonde. Fine, Naruto said, which caused Hiashi to raise an eyebrow at his behavior. He's nervous about something, Hiashi thought as he studied the boy's body language. What brings you here? You know my daughter won't be back for a few more days, Hiashi said while he had his suspicions for this surprise visit. I know. I actually came here to talk to you, Databeo. Sir, Naruto said looking down, trying hard to remember his manners and not blow his chance. What is it that you want to talk about? Hiashi asked, thought he had a feeling he knew what this was about. It didn't take a genius to figure out why a young man would set a meeting with his girlfriend's father, especially when she wasn't home at the moment. It's about Hinata, Naruto said, trying hard not to ruin this. What about my daughter? Hiashi asked. Your daughter, Hinata, she's really important to me, the most important person in my life, and I love her with all my heart, Databeo. Naruto said as he was careful with his words. She's very precious to me. She's beautiful, gentle, amazing, kind, smart, and she's just wonderful. Naruto was starting to ramble a bit. I can't say I can't imagine my life without her. I know what it would be like and it would be horrible. Too horrible to bear, Naruto said honestly, recalling the pain he felt when Hinata left with Tonari and fought it back. Are you trying to make a point, or did you just come here to sing praises of my daughter? Hiashi said with a ghost of a smirk, causing the blonde to flinch a bit. The reason I came here is because I want to marry your daughter, Naruto finally managed to say. Hiashi wasn't surprised. He actually had been expecting this for some time. I see, Hiashi said in an even tone, which somehow made Naruto more nervous. I'd like to ask your permission to marry Hinata-chan, Naruto said quickly, realizing he didn't say it right. Hiashi just stood there for a moment, like he was really thinking it over. But he already knew his answer. He accepted the fact that the boy would someday become his son-in-law, even before he and Hinata officially started dating. Very well, you have my blessings, Hiashi said, suddenly surprising the blonde boy at how quick he answered. Really? Naruto stuttered and Hiashi was laughing on the inside at how the boy looked now. Were you expecting me to say no? Hiashi asked, toying with the boy who shook his head fervently. No. Well, I was hoping you said yes and all, but Naruto was rambling again, and Hiashi decided to stop the boy before he hurt himself. Uzumaki-san, me and my clan, as well as the entire nation, owe a great debt to you, and I know you'll make a fine husband for my daughter, Hiashi said, causing Naruto to blink a bit, and Hiashi decided it was time to spell it out for him. You're the son of the 4th Hokage and Kushina-sama, rest their souls. You're also the hero of the 4th Shinobi World War. You saved the village from pain. You united the elemental nations. Also you saved both my daughters as well as the entire world from that wretch Tonari, not to mention you plan on becoming Hokage someday. Am I right? Hiashi listed, and Naruto nodded. Then I believe your credentials are more than up to my clan's standards. Politically speaking, of course, Hiashi said diplomatically, before adding there's also something much more important than all that. Hiashi suddenly said. What's that? Naruto asked. You make my daughter happy, Hiashi said, showing a real smile on his face, the first one Naruto has ever seen. Thank you, Hiashi-sama. You have no idea how much this means to me, and you won't regret this. Databeo, Naruto said, beaming with his usual cheerfulness. Still getting used to honorifics. I better not, Hiashi said in a stern tone, and gave Naruto a look that shut him up. Just remember one thing, Uzumaki-san, I expect that you will take care of my daughter and treat her right. If I discover that you hurt her in some way, there won't even be a body left to bury, Hiashi said in a cold tone, scaring the younger male and making him paler than a ghost. I promise that it will never come to that. Hinata is my most precious person and I'll always treasure her, Naruto said nervously, still feeling intimidated by the older man. I'm glad to hear that, Hiashi said in a more normal tone and seemed to calm down, startling the boy with his mood swings. Is he bipolar or something? Naruto thought to himself before deciding it was time to leave. So when will the proposal take place? Hiashi asked out suddenly. Oh, I was planning on asking her after she comes back from her mission, Naruto said. So in less than a week's time, Hiashi said, and Naruto nodded. If there is nothing else you need to tell me, you can leave, Uzumaki-san, Hiashi said, causing the younger man to blink. Oh, okay. Thanks again, Hiashi-sama, Naruto said before he finally left. Hiashi used his Byakugan to see he was finally out of hearing range. Hiashi smirked to himself, before it melted into a content smile. To think, my eldest daughter is getting married, Hiashi mused as he looked to a framed photo on his right. It was a picture of himself, his late wife Hikari, and their 2 girls. Hinata was 5 and Hanabi was still a newborn when the picture was taken. He stared at the image of his beautiful Hikari. It was almost startling to see how Hinata resembled her in looks. It's been almost 13 years since she passed away. Her death was the darkest time Hiashi faced in his life, seeing his beloved ill and getting worse each passing day until the Shinigami finally claimed her, leaving a great pain in his family, that while it never quite healed, it was at least bearable now. Hiashi nearly experienced that pain again when he nearly lost both of his daughters to that dreaded Tonari, and there was literally nothing he could do about it since he was hospitalized. It was only thanks to Naruto and his friends that he still had his daughters, especially Hinata. He thought back to his eldest and felt a pang of guilt. He knew he wasn't the best of fathers and he made many mistakes, and both his daughters answered for them. He considered himself fortunate that they were willing to forgive and give him a chance to make up for his past errors, not only to them but for their entire clan, including the branch members. He owed it to his brother and nephew. If only you were all here to see this, Hiashi thought to himself, and he recalled memories of his wife, brother and nephew, good people who were taken long before their time but still lived on in their hearts and spirit. His one regret was that they wouldn't be there to watch the special day. Hiashi shook his head. He needed to get back to work, there was a lot to prepare for, and he was not talking about the wedding but the announcement to the elders. His problem wasn't that he thought the elders would reject the proposal, far from it. They would be thrilled that Hinata would be married to a ninja of Naruto-san's caliber, and the future 7th Hokage of the village. Everyone knew that Naruto-san becoming the 7th Hokage was only a matter of when Kakashi-sama decided to step down, but there was no doubt about it that the boy would one day lead the village and the elders would enjoy the benefits of being allied to the 7th. Hiashi shook his head, as he was preparing himself for that day, and what the future had in store for his family. To be continued. Chapter 2, The Proposal. It was a beautiful spring day in the village of Konohagakure. With the warm weather having long melted the snow, the villagers were now enjoying the warmth and beauty of Mother Nature. The flowers were in bloom, the sky was a beautiful shade of blue, and the animals were finally out of hibernation. Needless to say, it was the perfect day to be outside, especially with the one you loved. However, the beautiful scenery wasn't enough to calm down a rather apprehensive blonde knucklehead. Naruto sighed as he was on his way to pick Hinata up for their date. But this wasn't like any other date. Today was the day he was finally going to ask her to marry him. He knew there would be no better time than this. Hiashi gave him his blessings. The weather was perfect and they both took the day off today to spend time with each other. He had everything planned out. He was going to take her out on a picnic by a waterfall. He even stopped by the bakery to pick up the cinnamon rolls she loved so much. He also stopped by the Yamanaka flower shop and splurged a bit on some white lilies to surprise her with, though he had a run-in with Ino, who gushed about how romantic he was being and complaining to Sai, who was also there. Anyway, during the picnic they would eat, talk, and he would somehow work his proposal into the conversation. He was still nervous, very nervous, terrified to be precise. Did his father feel this way when he asked his mother to marry him? Naruto kept walking but looked up to his father's carving on the Hokage monument. Even before he learned the truth, he always admired the fourth Hokage. Sometimes he still couldn't believe he was his father, the legendary fourth Hokage. He was proud to call his father his hero and idol. If he was still around, he wondered if his dad would give him advice about the big decision he was going to make. Naruto chuckled. He already knew what both his parents would say if they were here right now. His dad would express his pride in him and wish him the best of luck, and his mother would tell him to grow some balls and ask the girl he loved to marry him already. Before hugging him and gushing about how happy she was that her son has become a man, Naruto pushed the thoughts of his parents away when he felt that familiar clench in his chest again. Now was not the time to get moody. He had a proposal to do. He finally arrived to the Hyuga compound and glanced at his watch. He was right on time. He promised Hinata he would pick her up by 10 so they could enjoy a nice walk together before their picnic lunch. Just like last time, Madoka greeted him and led him into the living room where he saw his beautiful girlfriend wearing a cute spring dress that matched her eyes. "Hey Hinata-chan, you look beautiful," Databeo Naruto said as he presented her the flowers. "Oh Naruto-kun, these are lovely, you didn't have to," Hinata said as she admired the flowers. "I wanted to," Naruto said honestly, causing his beautiful girlfriend to smile. Hinata then placed the flowers in a vase and went to get her picnic basket. Hinata was looking forward to this picnic. After a long week of missions, it was nice to take a break and spend time with the man she loved. She even prepared a special lunch for the both of them. She was pleased that Naruto enjoyed her cooking, and she even made her own special ramen that he said was even better than Ichiraku's. "Shall we?" Naruto asked as he offered his arm to her. "We shall," Hinata said as she took his arm and they were gone. The two lovebirds agreed to take the long way to the forest where they were going to have their picnic. They both just wanted to enjoy the nice day and being with each other. It truly was a beautiful day in the village. Shops were busy, children were playing, and everyone seemed to be happy with their lives. "Naruto-senpai." The couple stopped and saw a group of academy students run up to them, 2 girls and 2 boys who eyed the couple in admiration. "Yo," Naruto said as he flashed his wide smile. "Hello, children," Hinata said kindly. "Naruto-senpai, could you please spar with us? I've been working hard with those moves you showed us," one boy named Chan said as he did some poses and looked eager for some action. "Could you please? We really like some more tips," the other children pleaded to their idol. "That sounds awesome, Chan, and I would, but we're kinda busy today," Databeo Naruto said as he held Hinata's hand. "Oh, are you two on a date?" One of the boys, Seiji, asked in a teasing voice only to be shushed by one of his friends. "Yep," Naruto said matter-of-factly. "You look so pretty." Hyuga-sama, one of the young girls, Takako said, truly admiring the older girl. "Thank you," Hinata said shyly, making her look even cuter to Naruto. "Well, of course she's pretty," the other girl Michi said with a smile, but deep down she was a bit jealous. She was one of Naruto's fangirls, but she did understand that it was unlikely due to the age difference. "Maybe tomorrow, guys, okay?" Naruto said finally. "Wait, Naruto, I don't see why we can't just give them a few pointers," Hinata said suddenly, surprising Naruto and the children. But Naruto gestured to the basket. He really wanted to get the picnic done so he could propose. He didn't want any detours. "Naruto, it won't be long and the forest will still be there when we get there," Hinata said. "Please, Naruto-senpai." The children begged again. Naruto sighed and smiled. He really couldn't blame Hinata. Besides, a part of him actually didn't mind this. It would give him more time to think his proposal over. "All right, but just for a bit," Naruto said, causing the kids to cheer and Hinata to smile. They headed to the training fields, which thankfully was nearby the forest where they were going to have their date. Hinata was supervising the girls who were sparring while Naruto was giving advice to the boys who were doing taijutsu practice. "You're doing very well, Michi-chan," Hinata praised. Naruto glanced at her from a distance. He couldn't help but smile. She really was a special woman. "Naruto-senpai," one of the boys yelled, bringing Naruto back to reality. "Like this?" Chan asked as he proceeded to show off his taijutsu stance. "Yep, I can honestly say you have this made," Databeo Naruto said honestly. These kids were good. After 15 minutes, the couple left before saying goodbye to their unofficial trainees. "You're really great with kids," Naruto said with admiration. He knew she was going to be a great mother, and an even better wife. "So are you," Hinata replied. After a while, they finally reached their destination, a beautiful valley near a waterfall. The scenery was breathtaking. The flowers were in bloom, the sky was clear and sunny, and the waterfall looked so majestic in this setting. It was perfect. Naruto helped Hinata set everything up, and before they knew it, they were enjoying their romantic picnic date. "It's beautiful here," Hinata said as she pulled out their food from the basket. "Not as beautiful as you," Databeo Naruto said, causing his girlfriend to blush. They ate for a bit and talked about life. Hinata told him about her mission in Suna, and Naruto told her about how his training was coming along. "Are you serious?" Hinata asked while giggling. "I am. I was practicing with the Rasengan again, trying to see if I could increase its size when I went too far and left a crater the size of Kuruma near here," Naruto said with a chuckle. "You always were a hard worker, Naruto-kun," Hina said with admiration. Naruto took a deep breath. He knew now was the time. They had eaten and had dessert and talked for a bit. He had to stop beating around the bush. He had to be a man and ask the girl he loved to make his wish come true. "Hinata-chan, you know that you're precious to me, right?" Naruto asked suddenly, causing her to blink. "Well, yes, you are precious to me as well, Naruto-kun," Hinata said honestly to her boyfriend. "Do you remember our fight against Tonari?" Naruto asked. How could I forget? Hinata teased. She could never forget that day. Her sister being kidnapped, herself almost being forced to wed Tonari, and Naruto helping her save her sister, and confessing that he was in love with her, ending with their first kiss. Do you remember what I said to you when we beat him, when we escaped? Naruto persisted. You said that you loved me, Hinata answered smiling. Yes, I did, but I said something else, Naruto continued, and Hinata wondered where this was going. I told you that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with you, Naruto said as he pulled out a small box, and Hinata gasped. And then Naruto-kun. Hinata rarely stuttered anymore, but she felt this could be the exception. Hinata-chan, I meant it when I said there is no one else for me. I want to spend the rest of my life with you until the day I die, if you will let me, Naruto said as he opened the box to reveal the ring within. Hinata was stunned. She couldn't believe this was happening. She stared at the beautiful ring before her and her beloved who was offering it to her, and a lifetime of love altogether. The ring was silver, it was modest but elegant, and Hinata couldn't believe it was being offered to her. Hinata-chan, will you make my wish come true? Will you marry me? Naruto finally did it, he asked her. Why yes, oh yes, Hinata said before she glomped him, hugging him and crying in joy. On the inside Naruto was chanting, she said yes. She said yes. She said yes. He couldn't believe that soon, his beloved, this beautiful angel of a woman, would become his wife. His wife. Hinata will soon be his wife. Naruto quickly placed the ring on her finger, and then proceeded to kiss her. Naruto felt like the luckiest man in the world, while Hinata was feeling like she was the luckiest girl in the world. Neither knew or cared that they had an audience. From a safe distance, Hiashi Hyuga witnessed the entire exchange and was smiling. It has been done, Hiashi said before leaving, eager to get away before they caught him. He suspected his daughter might not appreciate his eavesdropping her proposal, not to mention he had a wedding to prepare for. To be continued. Chapter 3. The announcement. The newly engaged couple began to pack up as they noticed it was getting late as the sun was starting to set down. It seems time does fly when you're having a wonderful time. After cleaning up, the two returned back to the village, both in states of complete and utter bliss. I still can't believe this is happening, Hinata whispered as she glanced down to the ring on her finger, feeling so much joy at the moment. Believe it! Hinata-chan, Naruto whispered back as he brought his arm around her, bringing her closer to him as they walked back home. Soon you will be all mine, Naruto said proudly, causing Hinata to giggle. Funny, I thought you were already mine, Hinata teased a bit. True, but this makes things more official, Naruto said with a cheeky grin. There's just so much to do now, the wedding, the reception, not to mention we have to tell everyone. Did you ask my father? Hinata asked to her blonde fiancé. Yep, I asked him 3 days ago while you were still in Suna, Naruto said to his lovely bride-to-be. Hinata just couldn't believe it. This morning she was just looking forward to a romantic picnic with the man she loved, and now she was engaged. It was like a dream. After so long, she was finally going to marry the man she's been in love with since she was a little girl. The two lovebirds finally arrived to the village, and decided to take the long way home. They enjoyed the beautiful sights of the village in the evening. The sun has set and the street lights were on. People were enjoying themselves at restaurants and other establishments, and everyone seemed to be enjoying themselves. It seems nothing could shatter the tranquility of this moment. Sai no baka. A loud, shrill voice managed to break through though. Naruto and Hinata turned around to see their friends Ino and Sai in an argument. It was almost comical seeing Ino yelling at her unofficial boyfriend and Sai standing there with his fake smile, unintimidated but still trying to placate the obviously angry blonde girl. Now Ino-chan, Sai said calmly, which had no effect on the blonde girl. Don't you Ino-chan me. You better have a good excuse for being 5 minutes late. Ino yelled. Ino scowled at her date. True, even she realized it wasn't worth making a big fuss over 5 minutes, but no woman liked it when their date was late, especially after spending a good chunk of the day getting ready for it. Ino still couldn't believe it when Sai asked her out on a date. She could still remember it, though it was mostly because Sai was carrying a book called How to Properly Date a Woman, and read it for a minute before he quoted the book and asked her out. Ino was actually looking forward to it, and even bought a new dress and had her hair done up for tonight. Sai was going to take her to the new restaurant called Narasegawa's Lounge, which opened a few days ago, and they were supposed to be there by 7. I'm very sorry, Ino-chan. I realize it's incredible rude for a man to leave his date waiting, but I was putting the finishing touches on your gift, Sai said honestly, causing the blonde girl to blink. A gift? Ino questioned, her anger quickly subdued for the moment. Sai pulled out a rolled-up painting for his satchel. He opened it, and presented it to his lovely but loud lady friend. It was a beautiful painting of a Samire violet, and Ino was left speechless for once in her life. He read that woman liked it when you gave them presents. He was originally going to get her some real flowers, but since her family owned a flower shop, he didn't want to risk running into her and spoiling her surprise, and even he realized it might not be in good taste if he went to another shop. He also read that women were touched when men gave them things that were handmade, like write them poetry or carves names in trees. So he decided to kill 2 birds with 1 stone and decided to paint her a flower. Oh, Sai, it's beautiful, Ino said as she admired the flower painting. You know, most guys would just buy a girl a real flower, but you're not like most guys, Ino said in a warm, fond way. That book was worth every yen, Sai thought as he mentally congratulated himself. The 2 young adults were about to leave for their date when they saw Hinata and Naruto nearby, who were pretending having not seen their little argument. Why, if it isn't our dear friends, how are you both, Naruto and Hyuga-san? Sai said, trying to be polite since he was still learning to be more social. Oh, hello, Ino-san. Sai-kun. Hinata greeted her comrades, trying to sound casual. Hey, guys, Naruto said casually. So I take it you two are also on a date tonight? Sai asked, trying to make small talk. We're actually returning from one, Hinata answered and tried to hide her blushing and discreetly hid her ring finger, hoping they wouldn't see it. She was looking forward to tell their friends about the engagement, but she was hoping to do it tomorrow with everyone together, and Ino was a big gossip if she finds out. Then the whole country would know by morning. She and Naruto agreed not to tell their friends till morning since she wanted her father and sister to be the first ones to know, and Naruto was more than happy to grant her request. Naruto was currently holding her hand and made a discreet effort to cover the ring, hoping no one, especially Ino, would notice. Judging from the blush on your face, it must have been some date, Ino said with a smirk, causing the dark-haired girl to flinch. Ino-san, Hinata stuttered, not helping it since today has been a big day. Oh, lighten up, Hinata, I'm just teasing, Ino said, giggling. Sai, however, remained silent, which was nothing new, but he noticed something was off with his two friends. It wasn't hard to notice the slight tense muscles and how carefully Hinata was downplaying what happened between her and Naruto. He also noticed the way they were holding hands. The few times he had seen the two together, their hands were always intertwined, but this time, Naruto was cuffing Hinata's left hand and covering her fingers as well. Don't tell me that he actually did it, Sai thought in astonishment, but kept his neutral expression. If his hunch was right, his friend would soon be taking the life sentence known as matrimony. Sai wondered why they wouldn't tell them the big news. But he read in a book that when a friend was trying to keep something personal, it was best to confront them about it before telling a third-party member, in this case, Ino. While Ino and Hinata were talking, or in this case Ino pulling Hinata aside and bragging about where Sai was taking her, and Hinata was trying to keep up with her, Sai noticed there was no ring on her hand, and he also noticed one of Naruto's was in a fist as well. So when will it be? Sai asked his friend and made an effort to be quiet so Ino couldn't hear them. When will what be? Naruto asked in confusion. The wedding, of course, Sai said flatly. Naruto's jaw dropped and looked incredulous. How could Sai know already? How? Naruto almost yelped, but remembered that the village's biggest gossip was 5 feet away, currently chatting with his fiancée. I wasn't an ANBU for nothing. I noticed how proud you looked, and I also noticed how you tried to cover Hinata's left hand as soon as you saw us, Sai pointed out. He busted, Naruto said sheepishly as he rubbed the back of his head. Could you please keep it quiet, especially from you-know-who? Me and Hinata are planning on telling everyone tomorrow, but she wants her dad and sister to be the first ones to know, Naruto whispered to his teammate. Very well was all Sai said. Hinata finally managed to pull away from her chatty friend and they waved goodbye to Ino and Sai, who were currently running late for their reservations. After a while they finally managed to arrive to the Hyuga compound. Meanwhile Hiashi Hyuga was currently within the estate, looking out the window ever so often. Hiashi was normally a very patient man, but he was getting a bit restless, not that he would admit it, of course. He's been waiting for hours for his oldest daughter and future son-in-law to return so they could inform him of the big news. Though he had to be discreet about it. As far as anyone else would know, he wasn't even supposed to know that the proposal has happened yet. He then saw the young couple walking up to the estate, and he went straight to his office, since he knew that would be the first place they would look for him. He sat at his desk and prepared himself for what was to come. After a few minutes, he heard a knock on the door. Enter, he said in his normal tone of voice. Hinata and Uzumaki-san then came in with large smiles on their faces. Hello, Father, Hinata said. Ah, Hinata-chan and Uzumaki-san, what brings you both here? Hiashi asked and tried to act as neutral as possible. Father, I have something very important to tell you, but first, where's Hanabi Yamato? Hinata asked. In her room. I'll send for her, Hiashi said, and soon ordered one of his maids to fetch his younger daughter. Soon Hanabi joined them and Hiashi ordered his servants to leave. All right, I'm here, Hanabi said as she sat down next to her father. Now what is this about, daughter? Hiashi asked his eldest. Naruto-kun and I were getting married. Hinata said giddily as she showed her engagement ring. Are you serious, Ne-sama? Hanabi exclaimed as she then proceeded to hug her sister. I can't believe this. Hanabi cheered and even found herself hugging Naruto. Believe it. We're getting married. Naruto announced happily as he still held Hinata's hand, who was smiling and laughing happily. I believe congratulations are in order, Hiashi said with one of his rare smiles. Well done, Uzumaki-san, Hiashi said genuinely to the younger male. Thanks again for letting me, Sir, Naruto said with his trademark smile. Father! I can't believe you knew and didn't tell me, Hanabi whined. Uzumaki-san came the other day and asked for permission. Also, it goes against tradition to have the sister know about the engagement before the bride does, Hiashi said. There is just so much to do. Have you decided what day the wedding will be? We need enough time to get your dress, the altar ready, not to mention the catering and the guest list. Hanabi soon was spouting wedding details like crazy, and the engaged couple had trouble keeping up with her. Hiashi just stood there, happy for his daughter and his son-in-law to be. His younger daughter was right, there was so much to do, especially once the elders find out. Tomorrow was going to be a big day, that's for sure. To be continued. Chapter 4, The Meeting. The following morning was a busy one for the Hyuga clan, as every elite member of the prosperous noble clan was currently in the conference room, which was used only during important meetings. It was late in the afternoon when Hiashi announced a clan meeting that was of great importance. The Hyuga conference room was currently filled to the brim with all the elders and main house members, along with Hanabi since she was heiress apparent. This better be important, Hiashi-sama, said Hinode. An elderly woman in her late 60s said with a sour look on her face. I believe it is, Hinode obeised, Hiashi said dully, while trying to ignore the old hag. Hinode was one of the traditionalists who favored the old ways. She also had an overinflated opinion about herself and her descendants, believing them superior than they really were. I have called you all here to discuss an important matter concerning my eldest daughter Hinata, Hiashi said, getting everyone's attention. As you know, my eldest is nearing 20 and is of marriageable age, Hiashi said, while Hanabi was smirking. We are well aware of that, Hiashi-sama. We already went through this when Uzumaki-san announced his intentions to court your daughter Hizen, a bald elder in his 80s said. I am pleased to announce that my daughter is getting married. Uzumaki-san has proposed marriage to her, Hiashi said, shocking the other members in the room. And Hanabi tried hard not to laugh out loud at their expressions since it was still a serious family matter. That's right, Naruto-san and Nei-sama are really getting married, Hanabi said giddily, while the elders and other main house members finally had the information sink it. Soon there was a lot of talking and discussing among them, like their opinion truly mattered in this situation. I suppose it's a suitable match, Kaguri, the youngest of the male elders said thoughtfully. Uzumaki-san is a ninja of the highest esteem, and he is also the prime candidate of becoming the next Hokage. His marriage to Hinata-sama would be a great benefit for our clan, Kajiro said, while many others muttered in agreement. Not to mention that he is the hero of the village and the world. He saved the village from pain. He also was the hero of the war. Not to mention that he saved both Hinata-sama and Hanabi-sama, and the entire world from the moon crisis, Hinode said as she thought about Naruto's past exploits and was impressed to say the least. She knew that the Uzumaki boy was a catch and many young girls fancied him for his power and status as the hero of the war. She was surprised but pleased to learn that a member of their clan managed to get his attention, and Hinata-sama marrying him would give them a great advantage, especially after he is officially inaugurated. Though she was secretly upset that Hinata-sama would be the bride since she was hoping her granddaughter Hitomi would have been the one marry the boy. Her darling Hitomi was the very example of what a Hyuga woman should be, graceful within the home but also deadly on the field of battle. She was already a Jonin and she was very beautiful as well. She still believed she would have made a more suited match than the former heiress, especially since Hitomi was one of Naruto's fangirls. But even she knew that politically speaking, Hinata was the more appropriate match since she was still one of the daughters of the head of the clan even if she was a meek mess. That was better suited for housework than battle. His lineage is also rather impressive, being the son of the legendary 4th Hokage, not to mention his relation to the Senju clan, and being disciple of the late Toad sage Jiraiya, as well as one of the students of the current Hokage Kakashi-sama Hashimi, Kajiro's wife said as the others muttered in agreement. But what of our lineage? Keisuke, the oldest and most traditional elder said, getting everyone's attention. While I am impressed with the boy's credentials, we still have the Byakugan to think about. If Hinata were to marry him, any children resulting in that union who obtain it would belong to his clan. Keisuke reminded them and ignored the death glare Hiashi was sending him. That is true, Hashimi said as she thought about that little detail. It was their duty to protect their Kekei Genkai no matter the cost. However, Uzumaki-san is one of the few survivors of his clan, so I believe it won't cause any political complications, Hashimi informed them. Usually in the matter of a male outsider joining the family, there was always the issue regarding any potential children with the Byakugan, and which clan they would belong to. Few or not, tradition states that the only safe way to protect the Byakugan Keisuke was cut off when Hiashi sent him a wave of killing intent that would have killed the weaker man. Since it was obvious what the old man was about to suggest, there will be no such thing, Hiashi said sharply, surprising the elders and other main house members. Hiashi was a very reserved man who hardly raised his voice, so it was rare occasion to see him lose his cool. I will not let you brand my grandchildren with that accursed caged bird seal, Hiashi said, warning them not to cross him. The abolition of the caged bird seal has been in debate for years now, ever since Naruto fought Niji in the Chunin exams. While many main house members were all in favor of the change, there were still some elders who were too stubborn and refused to let go of the old ways, and Kajiro and Keisuke were some of the more hardcore traditionalists in the entire clan. Hiashi-sama, it's to protect Byakugan, Keisuke tried to remind him, but Hiashi wouldn't be swayed by the manipulative old fool. We have discussed this before, that the caged bird seal has only succeeded in dividing this clan and causing nothing but tension and resentment with the other members, Hiashi said as he thought about his late brother and nephew and all the sacrifices and suffering they had to endure because of that damned seal. It has already caused much damage within this family and I will not let the next generation suffer it, especially my future grandchildren, Hiashi said. He owed that much to his brother and nephew, he wouldn't let their sacrifices be in vain. Hiashi-sama, be reasonable, Keisuke pleaded to the clan's leader, while on the inside was trying to keep his temper in check. I am being reasonable. Hanabi is heiress apparent, and Hinata is to become matriarch of the Uzumaki clan, and Uzumaki-san is a trustworthy man. We know we can count on him to protect the Byakugan, Hiashi said with no hesitation. He knew his daughter and descendants would be well taken care of. Naruto was a good man, and he knew he could trust him. Also, let's not forget that Hinata marrying him will elevate her to a much higher status once he is officially inaugurated as Hokage, Hiashi reminded them, and on the inside was smirking as he noticed the frustrated look in Keisuke's eyes. Many members thought it over. While they were happy a member of their clan would be wed to the next Hokage, some people like Keisuke and Kajuro didn't like the idea that in a few years at most, Hinata would be on a much higher social caste than them. How do you propose to keep the Byakugan safe without the use of the caged bird seals? Only main house members can be unbranded, Kajuro said, curious to what Hiashi planned to say. There will be no need, since if Hinata's children inherit our Byakugan they will still be main house children, Hiashi said, confusing the others in the room, including Hanabi. What do you mean that they will still be main house? Hashimi asked with a raised eyebrow, confused about the idea. Uzumaki-san is the only known male of his clan and will try and revive the Uzumaki clan. By law he is the head of his clan and his children will be his heirs, thus making them main house members of the Uzumaki clan, along with Hinata, who will become the clan's matriarch, also as my daughter. She is by birth and is still part of the Hyuga main house, Hiashi said as he had thought about this argument carefully. Hiashi, that's not what we meant, and you know it, Kajuro said, angry that Hiashi would try to use that as his excuse. Many members were currently arguing with each other, some against Hayashi's statement, while others were in favor of it. It was a rather rare event seeing some of the most reserved citizens of the village in a mass verbal battle. Remember, there's the chance that their children may not even inherit the Byakugan, and even if they do, we won't know until they've grown, Hanabi said, trying to placate the entire room and keep her temper in check, torn between trying to prevent a brawl and wanting to knock these old fools herself. The reason the caged bird seal was created was to protect the Byakugan from falling into enemy hands and to keep order within the clan itself. But all it's done is distant our two houses, Hiashi said. Hiashi-sama, we approve of Hinata marrying Uzumaki-san, but we can't just ignore the Byakugan. The only other solution would be to adopt Uzumaki-san into the clan's registry, Keisuke suggested. All the other members stopped their arguing and were now paying full attention to Keisuke, who proceeded to explain his solution. By making Uzumaki-san an official member of the main house, Hinata's descendants will still be members of the clan and the Byakugan will remain safe and secured, Keisuke explained, with several members nodding and liking the idea. Hiashi couldn't believe that Keisuke was suggesting making Uzumaki-san a Mukoyoshi. Hiashi shook his head. While it was common practice for families to adopt their son-in-laws should no male heirs be available, Hiashi knew it would be unfair to end Kushina-san's lineage in such a way, especially since Hanabi's future husband would already be subjected to it. Uzumaki-san had his own duty to his clan, however small it may be, and it's his birthright that his children have his name. I cannot ask Uzumaki-san that, since not only is it unnecessary seeing as Hanabi's husband would become adopted to our registry, thus continuing our clan name for the next generation, but it would also be unfair since he is trying to revive his own clan, Hiashi explained, and was glad to see most of the younger generation on his side. But Keisuke, Kajuro and some other elders along with the more pompous clan members were unconvinced. The Uzumaki clan is all but extinct at this point, Keisuke said offhandedly, ignoring the death glare Hiashi was sending him. And that's why his heirs must be given his family name, Hiashi said, trying to keep himself from killing the older man. Hiashi knew there was no way they were going to resolve this today, so he dismissed them for now, feeling a migraine coming. He was glad his daughter and her fiancé were out celebrating with their friends at the moment, far away from these old-fashioned, narrow-minded fools. That could have gone better, Hanabi said sarcastically as she and her father were the only ones left in the conference room. You got that right, damn that Keisuke team, Hiashi growled under his breath when he thought about that old man. He knew the real reason why Keisuke suggested adoption. It wasn't because he was worried about the Byakugan, it was because he wanted a Hyuga to become Hokage. For generations, many of their clan's elite members have tried to rise through the ranks in hopes of one day attaining office, and Keisuke was one of them, but old age and health eventually caught up with him, and he was no longer eligible for candidacy. But it didn't stop him from trying to live through the younger generation. Uzumaki-san becoming the next Hokage was practically all set now, and the marriage between him and Hinata would bring their clan a lot of advantages in the future once he takes office. However, it apparently wasn't enough for Keisuke and his followers. Keisuke wanted to take advantage of Uzumaki-san through his marriage to Hinata, and he was using the caged bird seal as a threat. Hiashi despised that old fool. Keisuke was snobbish, misogynistic, vain and manipulative, and he was almost considered his father's second in command while he was still alive, and they were both equally snobbish and stubborn. Hiashi knew his father would have agreed with Keisuke's suggestion for the same motives. Hiashi shook his head. While it would be a great honor for one of their clansmen to take the mantle of Hokage someday, he would only accept it if it was truly earned, not taken by cheating and threats. There was also the matter of Uzumaki-san's genetics, his longevity and great chakra reserves. Not to mention his many skills and techniques were very impressive, and Keisuke clearly wanted them to remain within the Hyuga family. Hiashi knew he had to talk this daughter and future son-in-law. One thing was for sure, he wasn't going to let Keisuke and his foolish followers get their hands on his grandchildren or Uzumaki-san for that matter. To be continued. Chapter 5. The celebration cut short. Meanwhile, far away from the drama at Hyuga compound, Naruto and Hinata were preparing to inform their friends about the big news. They were currently at Ichiraka's and were waiting for their friends and comrades to arrive. The two lovebirds were eager to celebrate with all their precious people. Soon, everyone was there, All the remaining members of the Konoha 11 had arrived along with their senseis. Kakashi-sensei wasn't there since he was still trapped in the office with a ton of paperwork, but Naruto would just tell him later. Tsunade and Shizen were also out of the village on another one of the old lady's infamous gambling sprees, and he knew they wouldn't be back until after Tsunade bit off more than she could chew again. Sakura, Ino, Tenten, Shikamaru, Chuji, Lee Sai, Captain Yamato, Kiba, Shino, Mato Gai, Kurenai-sensei and her daughter Mirai, even Irika-sensei was there as well. Ayam and her dad were busy working, but they were discreetly paying attention to their favorite customer and his girlfriend's drama. You guys are probably wondering why we all called you here today, Naruto said dramatically while on the inside was beaming. He couldn't wait to see the looks on their faces once he told them the big news. What's this about Naruto? Sakura asked suspiciously to her teammate. True, Naruto has grown up a lot, but he still had his moments. Yeah, it's not like you to suddenly call in some big meeting, Ino said, still stumped. Sai, however, stood there with his fake smile. He found it amusing that they still couldn't see the obvious yet. Their signs were all there clear as day. The reason Naruto-kun and I have called you all here is because we're getting married, Hinata said happily as she showed them her precious engagement ring and couldn't stop smiling. Everyone's jaw dropped, including Ayam and Tuchi's, and Naruto was laughing like a hyena, but he somehow managed to regain his composure. 3 seconds later, loud screams echoed throughout the village, as it shows that Ino, Sakura and even Tenten and Ayam somehow got out of their shock and were now surrounding Hinata, shouting and squealing in joy. Oh my gosh, Hinata-chan! I'm so happy for you! Sakura shouted as she hugged her dark-haired friend tightly. You two must be so happy, Ayam said sweetly, since she stopped working the second Hinata showed her ring and was still admiring it. I believe a congratulations are in order, Sai said as he shook hands with Naruto and silently pleaded to him not to reveal their little chat to Ino, who was still drooling over Hinata's engagement ring. Now this is what I call true youth, Guy said loudly from his wheelchair, still in his usual jovial way that caused some to cringe due to the volume of his voice. Oh, Hinata-chan, Kurenai said happily as she hugged her female student, who hugged her back tightly. The ring is so gorgeous, Ino gushed, admiring the beautiful symbol of love and commitment, while she secretly felt some envy due to the lack of one on her own finger. Sai suddenly felt a sudden chill run down his spine, but he brushed it off, thinking it was the cool ACYOSH. May the flames of youth burn bright for your union. Lee shouted in his usual, enthusiastic way, feeling happy for his friend's happiness. I always knew you end up tying the knot one of these days, Tenten said to her shy comrade, since she was the one who was used to her teammate and sensei's loudness unlike the others. Tenten, Hinata said with a blush, but she couldn't stop smiling. Congratulations, man, Kiba said as he slapped Naruto on the back. Yes, this is a very joyous occasion, Shino said in his usual monotone voice. Naruto was grinning a mile wide as he put his arm around his beautiful, blushing bride-to-be, who was also smiling sweetly at him. Believe it, you guys. Me and Hinata-chan are getting married, he announced proudly to his friends. I'm so proud of you, Naruto, Irika said to his old student, giving him a manly hug. Congratulations, Hinata-chan, Kurenai said as she hugged her pupil once more. Congratulations, Naruto. To celebrate your engagement, the drinks are on the house, Tuchi said kindly to his favorite customer and his friends, who all cheered. All right. Naruto pumped his fist but still held his future wife close. The rest of the afternoon was a happy one, with the girls grilling Hinata for details about the proposal and asked questions about the wedding, while the men were drinking and congratulating their very lucky comrade. Are you serious? Tenten asked in amazement. Yes, it's true. Naruto-kun took me to the waterfall where we had a nice picnic, and he told me he wanted to spend the rest of his days with me, Hinata said sincerely as she smiled, remembering the greatest moment of her life so far, that is. I never knew Naruto could be that romantic, Ino said as she had a dreamy look on her face. She was a big sucker for romance. Sakura just sat there feeling happy for her best friends, but her thoughts drifted to her own love, who was currently out of the village doing some soul searching. She wondered if soon she might be the one to show off a beautiful ring and celebrate with her friends. She shook her thoughts away. Today was about Naruto and Hinata and their happiness. However, Sakura wasn't the only one who was deep in thought. Irika just sat there with his own drink in his hand as he looked at his old student. Naruto was no longer the mischievous, wild but lonely little child who had to act out to get attention. In the place of that child now stood a man who was about to take the biggest step of his life, and Irika couldn't be happier and more proud of him. Naruto would never be lonely ever again. He now had friends, a great future, and the love of a good woman. He knew he and Hinata would be very happy together. They deserved it after all. Kurenai was also chatting and admiring her own student, proud of the woman that now stood before her. She was proud that Hinata managed to achieve her goal without having to sacrifice who she was deep down. Her once shy student was no longer that frightened little girl, but was now a beautiful, strong and amazing woman, and she was still as kind and sweet as she ever was. A true kunoichi in her own opinion. So when will the wedding be? Kurenai asked while she held her now sleeping daughter. Yeah, when's the big day, you two? Ino asked, eager to get a start on the planning. Oh, we still haven't decided yet, Hinata said to her many friends. Yeah, I mean we just got engaged yesterday, Naruto said honestly to everyone. I still can't believe you guys didn't tell me when me and Sai saw you guys last night, Ino said with a pout. Sorry Ino-chan, but we wanted everyone together so we could all celebrate together, as friends, Hinata said kindly to the platinum blonde girl who lost her pouts since she couldn't stay mad at her. Either way, you better prepare yourself, Hinata-chan, Ino said as she stood up dramatically. After this we are going to plan the ultimate wedding. Ino shouted, getting everyone's attention, and soon all the girls were giving suggestions. Tomorrow you and I are going dress shopping and we aren't stopping until we find you the perfect dress, Ino said as she leaned in too close to her shy friend. Ino-chan, Hinata shuddered since she wasn't used to having anyone but Naruto this close to her. And don't worry about the flowers, my family will handle it, Ino said proudly to her flustered friend. Not to mention we have to get the catering and decorations, Sakura said, feeling the excitement about planning the upcoming wedding. I think a traditional Shinto wedding would be perfect for you, Hinata-ten said, as she imagined Hinata in the beautiful kimono, and was squealing on the inside. No way, I think a garden wedding would be gorgeous, Ino said as she imagined Hinata in a beautiful gown surrounded by hundreds of gorgeous flowers, and tried hard not to gush. I think a wedding on the beach is very romantic, Ayam said as she wanted to keep part of the conversation. Actually, I'm on Tenten's side. A Shinto ceremony is a must, Sakura said to the other women who were currently arguing which idea was the best one. What do you think, Hinata-chan? The many girls asked to the future bride, who flinched due to being put on the spot. Actually, I still don't know what I want yet, Hinata said to her frustrated friends. Kurenai just sat there and was chuckling at the sight of the overeager girls and her bashful student. They all have grown up so fast. How does it feel, Naruto? Kiba asked to his blonde comrade. I feel like I'm the luckiest guy ever, Naruto said happily. You should be. Hinata is a good woman, and she is our precious teammate as well, Shino said in his usual voice, but Naruto noticed the mild hostility in it. Kiba and Shino now stood in front of Naruto with serious expressions, and even more serious in Shino's case. Just remember one thing, Naruto-san, Shino whispered so Hinata would not hear them. Hinata is our precious friend, so you better treat her right, Kiba said while glaring to the suddenly pale blonde boy. They both knew Naruto was a good guy and that he loved Hinata. But Hinata was almost like a sister to them and they couldn't help but feel a bit protective of her. They wanted to make sure she was happy. Naruto was sweating a bit at the killing intent, but it at least wasn't as bad as Hiashi's was. I promise you guys I will always treasure Hinata no matter what, she's my most precious person, Naruto said with no hesitation in his voice. Good, Kiba said before returning normal, and Shino went back to his own version of merrymaking. Geez, when will it stop? Naruto thought in dismay at his friend's sudden mood swings and hoping this would be the end of it. You're a lucky guy, Naruto, Tsuji said happily to his friend while he was finishing his 12th bowl of beef ramen. Though a part of him couldn't help but feel a little jealous, not that he liked Hinata in that way, he didn't. It was just that one of his friends was about to be married while he still couldn't work the nerve to ask Carrie out. He always had a thing for her, but he couldn't stop getting all shy when she was around. Better prepare yourself, you have a lot coming your way, Shikamaru jabbed good naturally to the blonde. Then I say bring it on, Naruto shouted with his usual fox-like grin. He was going to be married to an amazing woman, and have a happy life with her. He was way more than prepared for that. The celebration continued for hours until it started to get late and many were going home. See ya later you guys, Ino said as she left with sigh. Don't forget that tomorrow we're going to look over patterns, Hinata-chan, Sakura said before leaving. Geez, with how excited they are, you'd think she or Ino were the ones getting married, Naruto joked to his fiancée, who giggled in return. They're just happy, Hinata said to her beloved fiancé. The couple then walked home together. Hinata was holding on Naruto's arm with a blissful look on her face, and Naruto just stared at her with adoration. Soon, Hinata-chan, you will be my wife, Naruto said softly to the woman he loved. And you will be my husband, Naruto-kun, Hinata said softly to her beloved. I still can't believe this is happening. Sometimes I worry if this is a dream and I will wake up, Hinata said as she gazed at her ring. It feels like it was just yesterday that she was still in the academy, and she was still admiring Naruto from afar, dreaming of the day she would finally tell him how much she admired him, and wanted to walk beside him forever. You better believe that it's happening, Hinata-chan, Naruto said confidently to his future bride. I promise you, Hinata, this is only a dream come true, Naruto said earnestly to his beloved. It truly was a dream come true to him. He finally had someone who truly loved him unconditionally for who he was and who wanted to be with him. He still couldn't believe that soon this beautiful, sweet angel of a woman would one day welcome him home. This would be the woman he would spend the rest of his life with. This would be the woman who would be there for him to cheer him up when he had a bad day, who would care for him when he was ill, and who would always stand beside him during good times and bad. Hinata would no longer just be his girlfriend, she would no longer be just his friend or comrade, she was his entire future now. She would not only be his wife, but she was going to be his family as well. A family with Hinata-chan that would be more precious to him than the Hokage position and a lifetime supply of ramen combined. I love you, Hinata-chan, Naruto said softly to the woman he loved. And I you, Naruto-kun, Hinata whispered as she gazed into her beloved's eyes and never wanted to look away. The two kissed and remained in bliss, happy and eager for what the future had in store for them. The two were just a block away from the Hyuga compound when they saw Hiashi approach them. Father, what are you doing here? Hinata asked to her father. Hiashi had been waiting for hours for them to come home. They needed to be informed of what Keisuke and the other elders were planning, but it had to be someplace where the walls didn't have ears or eyes in this case. We need to talk, Hiashi said seriously to the young couple. Needless to say, it looked like the time for celebration was over. To be continued. Chapter 6. A Father's Warning. The engaged couple and worried father soon arrived to Naruto's apartment in a flash. Naruto was internally happy that he remembered to clean up his apartment earlier today. Ever since he started dating Hinata, he made an effort to keep his place decent since she would sometimes come over to make him lunch or dinner like she was already a doting wife. He wasn't suddenly a neat freak, but at least his place was habitable right now, to say the least. Hiashi sat in the middle of Naruto's living room with his daughter and son-in-law to be sitting right in front of him, both wearing looks of concern about this unexpected little meeting. "What is it that you wanted to discuss, father?" Hinata asked in a worried tone. She had a bad feeling about this little meeting and her father's behavior, as of recently. "As you already know, I have informed the elders about your engagement," Hiashi said in an even tone, but he frowned as he recalled how that went and how smug Keisuke looked when he left. "Oh no! Don't tell me they don't approve?" Hinata asked in dismay while Naruto looked like he was about to become angry. The last thing either wanted was someone trying to veto their marriage. "On the contrary, they were pleased when I said you two are to wed," Hiashi said as he thought back to earlier today. No matter how much they tried to hide it, he could see the elders, especially Keisuke, were very excited about the union, but for the wrong reasons. That greedy team. Hiashi thought angrily as the thought about that ambitious old fool. "Then what's the problem, Dadabayo?" Naruto asked, wanting to know what his big emergency was. Hinata also looked confused, wondering what the problem could be. "They approve of your marriage, but there is the matter concerning your future children," Hiashi said with a frown. "What do you mean, father?" Hinata asked in a confused tone of voice. "What did that have to do with anything?" "Hinata, as you already know, you are marrying into the Uzumaki clan," Hiashi said, and his daughter nodded. "The elders are concerned about the possibility of your children inheriting the Byakugan, and if so they will belong to your fiancé's clan," Hiashi said, and Hinata's eyes widened as she had guessed where this was going and was praying to Kami it wasn't what she thought. "What does that even mean?" Naruto asked to his future father-in-law. "There is a debate whether to place the caged bird seal on your children," Hiashi said, looking down trying to suppress his anger. The atmosphere in the room changed with Hinata having a terrified expression, and she looked like she was about to cry while Naruto's face was now red with anger. "What?" Naruto shouted at the top of his lungs, scaring some birds and disturbing some passerbys outside. "Father, please tell me it's not true," Hinata pleaded, trying hard not to cry. "It wasn't fair. The elders couldn't do this." Despite her no longer being first in line to inherit the clan, Hinata never worried about her or her children being placed in the branch house since she was a woman, and was fortunate enough to have been a single birth. And tradition states that only men could start a branch family. "It won't be if I have any say in the matter," Hiashi said with a determination Naruto admired. "I can't believe them, they have no right." Naruto stomped around his apartment, trying not to lose control of himself. He couldn't believe this. His children haven't even been conceived yet, and already some bastards are trying to threaten them. If they think I'm going to sit by and let them brand my kids just because they're not true Hyugas, they got another thing coming. Naruto shouted in anger. After a few more minutes of ranting, Naruto finally calmed down and sat back down next to his fiancée, who had a confused look on her face. "Father, I just don't understand. Women in our clan have married outsiders before and this issue has never been brought up before," Hinata said as she recalled several of her relatives in the main house. It hasn't even been a year since one of her relatives, Hoshi, married a member of the Taketori clan, one of their allies, and she was a daughter of the main house. "It's because of who you are and whom you are marrying," Hinata Hiashi said, causing the couple to look bewildered. "What do you mean by that?" "It's not because I'm a Jinchuriki, is it?" Naruto asked in disbelief. It's been years since anyone had treated him differently due to Kurama, but since he saved the village from pain, the issue had never been brought up again, or so he thought. "It's not that. They say that they are worried that any children you have with the Byakugan will belong to your clan exclusively, and they don't like that," Hiashi said to the young couple. "While Hinata is no longer heiress, she is still a member of the main house and my daughter, Uzumaki-san, as you are the last living male of the Uzumaki clan. By tradition that makes you head of your clan and your children will be your heirs," Hiashi said, though Naruto still didn't understand. "They dislike the idea of the Byakugan belonging to another clan, and they propose an alternative solution," Hiashi said with an angered look on his face. "An alternative solution?" Hinata asked in confusion with some hope laced on her voice. Naruto also looked confused and wondered where this was going. Hiashi sighed, and he knew this was not going to end well for them. "The elders believe the only other option would be for you to become a Mukoyoshi, Uzumaki-san," Hiashi said with Hinata's eyes widening, and Naruto still looked lost. "A what?" Naruto asked in confusion. "A Mukoyoshi is exactly what it sounds like, an adopted son-in-law. The elders are practically demanding that you be adopted into our clan's registry once you two are married," Hiashi replied, surprising Naruto in the process. "Adopt?" Naruto asked in confusion and disbelief. Sometimes clans adopt their sons-in-laws should no male heirs be available. It's an old practice which would ensure the family having a suitable heir, and the family name continuing for the next generation, Hiashi said with a sigh. "After you and Hinata marry, your name would be Hua Naruto from then on," Hiashi said to the blonde man, though he tried to hide his own cringe at the sound of the name he liked. The boy, but even he knew how wrong that sounded. Hinata looked down. She knew that practice was still commonplace, and she suddenly realized why the issue never became a problem with her relatives, and why her clan was still so big. Hinata looked at Naruto and noticed the uneasy look on her beloved's face, and she knew the reason why. The Uzumaki clan was once a powerful and prosperous clan that unfortunately died out, leaving only few survivors. Naruto was the last known male survivor, and he had a duty to continue his family line if he were to become a Mikoyoshi. It would almost guarantee the end of the Uzumaki's lineage. Is it really the only way? Naruto asked in a hesitant tone of voice that broke Hinata's heart. Her beloved was practically being forced to choose between his own family and his love for her. It was practically a nightmare. There is also more, I'm afraid, Hiashi said as he thought back to that sneaky Keisuke and his followers. What? Was what both of them said. They claim to be concerned with the Byakugan, but the truth is that many people in my clan desire a Hyuga to become Hokage, Hiashi said, confusing both the young adults. What does that even mean? Naruto asked, though Hinata could already see what her father was trying to say and was starting to get really mad. Uzumaki-san, you are a very powerful ninja, famed and revered worldwide, and you are also the prime candidate of becoming the next Hokage. The elders are aware how advantageous it would be for you to marry a member of our clan, Hiashi said. Still remember the gleam in Keisuke's and the others' eyes when he mentioned the marriage and reminded them of Naruto's future inauguration. Hinata tried hard not to roll her eyes. Figures the only reason the elders approved was because they thought they could gain something from her marriage. Hinata knew had this happened before the war or even the invasion, they would be completely against her marriage and fight her tooth and nail for her to marry a more suitable man. However, there are some members of our clan, particularly the elders, that have desired for someone with the Hyuga name to become Hokage. It's been something of a dream in my clan for many years, Hiashi said, closing his eyes. Don't all clans dream of that kind of stuff? Naruto asked in a flat tone, causing Hiashi to nod. I suppose, but they are aware that you becoming Hokage is inevitable at this point. It is only being a matter of when Rokudame-sama chooses to retire, Hiashi said to the younger male. By adopting you into our clan's registry, you would be called Hyuga Naruto, thus giving the elders exactly what they want. Also, you would be added to the main house and would be instructed in all our clan's traditions and norms, Hiashi said with a sigh and feeling another migraine coming. Such a union would raise their clan's status tenfold in the eyes of the village. They were already considered among the elite of the Land of Fire, and this would not only secure it but give them an even greater advantage in any future political affairs both inside and outside the village once Naruto takes office. By having Uzumaki-san become an official member of the Hyuga clan, they would practically be on par with the Senju clan, having who was now considered one of the most powerful ninjas in their nation's history. A Hokage to be and the world's hero as a member of the main house would be their most valued asset. But the price to pay wasn't worth it in his eyes. He had known Kushina-san when she was still alive. They were not close, but he did respect her as a fellow ninja, and he knew he couldn't bear being responsible for the end of her family's proud lineage. Hinata had a troubled look on her face. While she cared deeply for her clan as a whole, many members in the main house were snobs who were stuck in the old ways. Many men in her clan, including her father, were almost Naruto's polar opposite, being stoic, reserved, formal and old-fashioned, while Naruto was carefree, energetic, straight to the point, and always moved forward. Hinata almost cringed as she visualized her beloved looking like a typical man of the Hyuga main house, always dressed in robes and being so serious. It was so un-Naruto-like. Naruto, on the other hand, looked ready to kill. I can't believe this, Databeo. Naruto roared at the top of his lungs, though Hinata and Hiashi didn't even flinch. I can't believe those old farts. Threatening my future kids just because they want to take advantage of my marriage, Naruto said, raving as he could feel the vein popping from his forehead. If they want one of their own to become Hokage, then fine. I don't care about that, but what they're doing is practically cheating, Databeo. Naruto shouted loud, panting after his little rant. You're right, it is cheating in a sort, Hiashi admitted. As you can tell, I don't approve of this idea, and several others member don't as well. It's still in debate, and I'm going to make sure it never comes to that, Hiashi said, determined to the fuming blonde male. It won't happen, Naruto said, though he saw Hinata made a face, and he misunderstood it. Hinata, I love you and I want nothing more than to marry you, but I can't just forsake my own clan, Naruto said, looking down, causing Hinata to snap out of her unwanted daydream. I would never ask you to, Naruto-kun, Hinata said honestly to her beloved. Time seemed to stand still for a while. Naruto just sat there with a sad, pensive look that worried Hinata, and Hiashi could sense the turmoil the boy was in. You know, when I was a kid, I would have given anything in the world to know who my family was and where I came from. You don't know how much it meant to me when I finally met my parents and learned about the Uzumaki clan, Naruto said, as he smiled softly, thinking about his first encounter with his mother. Despite his parents and clan in total no longer being among this earth, Naruto still felt wonderful to know he even had a clan at all. A family, ancestors and a lineage to uphold. He couldn't describe the pride and joy he felt when he thought about his family history. The more he learned about his mother, father and clan, the more connected he felt with them. He wanted nothing more than to continue his family line. He owed it to his mother and his ancestors to make sure the Uzumaki name doesn't ever die out. And he wasn't going to let some old pricks make him forsake his family name for their own agenda. My mother, my children and my ancestors, I can't just let them go, Naruto said with his head down. If he agreed to become Mikoyoshi, he was practically ending his family name and being told to forget about his mother's family. He could never bring himself to do such a thing. I understand, and I would never ask you to do this. It's not fair to both you and Kushina-san, rest her soul, and the many other Uzumakis who served our village, Hiashi said solemnly, sensing the internal conflict within the blonde youth. Then what are we going to do? Hinata asked to her father and her fiancé. She wanted nothing more than to marry Naruto, but she wanted it to end with her becoming Uzumaki Hinata, not the other way around. For now, we have a wedding to plan, you leave the elders to me, Hiashi said to his daughter. Also I would advise you both to keep your guards up with Keisuke Aji-san, Hiashi said to them, causing Hinata to glare at the mention of that name. I should have realized he was the mastermind behind this, Hinata said bitterly as she thought about that pompous old man. Who's Keisuke? Naruto asked in confusion. He's one of the elders and a complete let's say jerk. Hinata paused, knowing it was unladylike to say what she really thought of the man and Naruto, and her father got the message. Funny, I think this is the first time I've seen you use that word, Naruto teased, trying to lighten the mood. He was the one who brought the issue up, and it was his idea to make you a Mikoyoshi, Uzumaki-san, Hiashi informed the younger male. He's a proud man who claims that he is concerned with our lineage when in reality, he's a stubborn old fool who believes he's entitled to have his way, Hiashi said angrily, though he managed to control himself. He only cares about making his little ambition of a Hyuga becoming Hokage real, and he's using the caged bird seal as a threat, Hiashi said bitterly, causing the blonde male to look livid once more. If that asshole thinks I'm going to let him use my marriage as his shortcut, he's got another thing coming, Naruto said angrily, already hating the man. I promise you that no matter what, I will not let your future children, my grandchildren, be branded, and I promise you that the Uzumaki name will continue, Hiashi said to his future son-in-law. Thank you for bringing this up, father, Hinata said politely. Yeah, thanks for the warning, Databeo, Naruto said truthfully to the middle-aged man. Anytime you two, now I must be off. Hiashi got up and made his way to the door. He knew that this wasn't going to be the end of this. It was only the beginning. May the elders and especially Keisuke be damned. He was going to make sure his daughter and her fiancé get married on their terms if it was the last thing he did. To be continued. Chapter 7. The Hyuga clan's drama. The following morning, the entire Hyuga compound was abuzz due to the news they received of Hinata-sama's betrothal to the village hero. Everyone was overjoyed for various reasons, that the former heiress has managed to find such a good match, and others were eager to prepare for the upcoming wedding. This is all so exciting. Hinata-sama must be thrilled. Ayano, a young female of the main house, said to her twin sister Hoshi. I know what you mean. Uzumaki-san is the most eligible bachelor in the village, and he's practically has the Hokage title reserved, Hoshi replied to her twin with a grin. HMP, if you asked me, I don't think it will last. Hitomi, Hinode's granddaughter, said with her arms crossed. Hitomi was a daughter of the main house, and she was a spoiled girl who thought she deserved the best of everything. She was the spitting image of Hinode in both looks and attitude, the only difference was that she was young. Please give it up, Hitomi-chan. Jealousy is a rather unattractive feature in a woman, Hoshi jabbed to her uppity relative. Hitomi was only 17, and she thought she was hot stuff because she was a Jonin, something her parents and Hinode Obasan were very proud of. It was obvious she was jealous of the engagement between Hinata and Naruto, since she was one of his fangirls and made a few passes at the blonde, even after he started dating Hinata. Naruto, however, was oblivious to her advances and remained with Hinata, much to the other girls' dismay. Hitomi glared and had a scandalized look on her face, as if Hoshi said something that was untrue. I am not jealous. I am just sharing my opinion, Hitomi said with a glare that almost had her activating her Byakugan. Well, we didn't ask for it, Ayano snapped back to the younger girl, clearly tired of her jealous comments. Ladies, this is no time for gossiping. You all are supposed to be training Aika, a plump, Hyuga woman in her 40s, instructed to the younger girls. Yes, Aiko-Basin, the three girls said in union as they went back to their training. It seems everyone in the prosperous, noble clan were all thinking about the upcoming marriage between their former heiress and the village hero, especially one very old man who was eager for the wrong reasons. Keisuke was in his late 80s and he was currently the oldest member within the Hyuga main house. Despite his advanced age, he was by no means feeble. Although his body was no longer in its prime, he prided himself in retaining his sharp mind. Keisuke was strolling around his estate as he saw the other members of the main house were very excited about the engagement between Hayashi's daughter and Uzumaki Naruto, and they should be. His skills, fame, lineage and connections guaranteed that someday soon, the boy would lead their village. He had a big future ahead of him, and Keisuke wanted his clan to be there when it happened. Hinata's engagement to him was like a blessing from Kami-sama himself. He knew that the boy was his key to the Hokage's office once he married into the clan. That girl couldn't have done any better, Keisure thought smugly as he thought about Hinata fulfilling her role in increasing their family's standing. Keisuke believed that the best way a woman could bring honor to their family was by finding a suitable husband, and he was relieved that Hinata-sama didn't fail at that. He and the other elders were at one point considering arranging an omiai for her once she reached 20, but her relationship with Uzumaki-san cancelled that plan since the boy was a superior match than some mere nobleman, or Jonin from one of their allies. Naruto was an elite ninja who was revered worldwide. He was powerful, famous and had a lot of important connections, especially with the other Kages, royals, and practically every important person in the shinobi world had a high opinion of him. He was surprised but very pleased when he learned that Uzumaki was courting one of their own, and even more when Hiashi announced the engagement. He knew that soon, their clan's greatest ambition would come true. He had high hopes that Niji, rest his soul, would have had the chance of becoming Hokage. He was a talented genius, and he was a proud member of their clan despite coming from the branch house. Unfortunately, he died defending their village during the war. He died like a true warrior of their clan, and Keisuke was upset that such a strong boy was no longer among the living anymore. At least there is still a chance, Keisuke thought with a smirk. He was going to make sure Uzumaki-san became a true Hyuga by any means necessary. It was the more practical solution anyway. Uzumaki-san was powerful, but he still came from humble beginnings and his clan was gone now. The Hyuga clan has been around since the founding of Konohaguruk, and they were among the elite in the shinobi world. They had wealth, connections, and a noble lineage that they needed to uphold. Uzumaki-san would become a very important asset once he joined the main house, where he would groomed into their ideals, traditions, and lifestyle. Unfortunately, Hiashi-sama was not being reasonable and refused to see the big picture. Uzumaki-san being added to their registry was in their best interests, and it would reaffirm their place as the strongest clan in the village, if not the entire shinobi world. It wasn't just the boy's future that he was interested in, as much as he didn't want to admit it, but the Uzumaki clan had impressive genetics that would be very useful for their bloodline. But Hiashi was a fool, a sentimental, unrealistic fool, since he and a few others were willing to sacrifice such an advantage for Uzumaki-san's clan, which was all but gone now. You are only prolonging the inevitable, Hiashi Baka, but the Hyugas are the strongest in the village and you and that boy will understand it. I will make sure of it, Keisuke thought as he went to talk to the other elders in order to discuss their future. Meanwhile, away from the Hyuga estate, the two men in question along with Hinata were in the park, sitting on a bench. Naruto wanted to talk to Hiashi more about the sudden ultimatum the elders were planning to do. I just don't get it. Aren't you like the head of the clan, Hiashi-sama? Can't you just order them that they can't do this? Naruto asked to his future father-in-law. I wish it was that simple, Uzumaki-san, but it's not. I may be head of the clan, but during important affairs, everything is cast into a vote, and if the majority of the clan agrees on the matter, I have no choice but to allow it, Hiashi said with his gaze down. Being a leader was not as easy or glamorous as people wanted to believe. There were many difficult and often unpleasant matters that needed to be done, and his decisions would always have some effect on his clan. Fortunately and unfortunately, the topic about our little situation is in a deadlock. Practically half of the clan is either with or against the idea of forcing you to become a Mukoyoshi, and placing the caged bird seal on your children, Hiashi said to the younger male. I just can't believe this is happening, Hinata said somberly as she looked to the ground. She often thought about her future with Naruto even before they became a couple. She dreamed of one day becoming his wife, living in the same home together, and even starting a family together. She wanted that more than anything in the world, but she never once would have thought they would face a situation like this. They were being threatened with the future of their children. If they didn't agree to the elders' demands, their children might be forced to bear that horrible caged bird seal, and if they complied, her beloved's family name would end. It was a no-win situation with the elders getting their way. I promise that no matter what, I won't let the elders get their way. It's your birthright that the Uzumaki family name continues. No strings attached, Hiashi said, determined to his future son-in-law and daughter. Maybe we should bring this up with Kakashi-sensei? I'm sure he could think of something, Naruto said optimistically, only for Hiashi to give a troubled expression. Uzumaki-san, the Hokage may be the leader of the village, but there is a policy regarding clan affairs, Hiashi told the confused blonde. A policy? Naruto asked in a confused tone, since this was the first he heard of this. Naruto-kun, when the village was founded, Hashirama-sama made an agreement with each of the noble clans, in which that matters within each clan must be resolved on their own, and unless the circumstances are dire, the Hokage cannot interfere unless the majority agrees on it, Hinata explained to her shocked beloved. Are you kidding me? Naruto shouted in dismay. It's also the reason why the caged bird seal still exists, Hiashi said with a frown. Believe me when I tell you that both the third and fifth Hokage have tried in helping abolish it, but there are still too many people who refuse to change, Hiashi told him, which caused his future son-in-law to blink. I didn't know that the old man and Tsunade Bakon tried to get rid of it, Naruto said in a surprised voice. He was even more surprised to learn that apparently even that wasn't enough to get rid of the seal. Even the Hokage's influence has its limits, Hiashi said in a sulking voice. The three remained there with dismayed looks, but it changed to determined ones. No matter what, they were not going to let the elders tell them how to live their lives. Suddenly an ANBU appeared before them, confusing the couple and a middle-aged clan head. Good afternoon, Naruto-san. Hokage-sama is requesting your presence in his office right now, the ANBU said politely to the blonde. What does Kakashi-sense want? Naruto asked to the masked ninja. He didn't say, but he's demanding to see you right now. He is also requesting the presence of Hinata-san here, the ANBU insisted, causing the three to blink. Naruto, Hinata and even Hiashi followed the ANBU and soon found themselves within the Hokage's office. They saw Kakashi there at his desk wearing an annoyed expression on his face, though they didn't understand why. I can't believe you, Naruto, Kakashi said, startling the blonde. What are you talking about? Naruto asked in confusion to his boss and sensei. I'm talking about the fact that guy came over here earlier to congratulate me for the fact that one of my students was finally going to experience the youthfulness of marriage. And all that, Kakashi said, quoting his self-proclaimed rival. Why did I have to learn about your engagement from Guy and not from you? Kakashi asked, annoyed and somewhat upset that he was overlooked like that. Naruto suddenly had a sheepish expression on his face. Clearly embarrassed, he forgot that little detail. Oh, sorry about that, Kakashi-sensei. I was going to tell you, I swear, but I kinda got a little sidetracked, Naruto said as he scratched the back of his head, feeling embarrassed. I'm afraid it was my fault, Rokudame-sama. I had some urgent business to discuss with my future son-in-law and we lost track of time, Hiashi said with a bow, since Kakashi was the Hokage and deserved the respect. Kakashi lost his annoyed expression. It was kinda hard to tell due to his mask, but Naruto noticed due to his eyes softening a bit. Well, alright, I guess there is no point in staying mad anymore. Congratulations, Naruto. I knew you had it in you, Kakashi said, truly happy for his student. It feels like it was just yesterday he was assigned, and he recalled the blonde's introduction, about his goal of becoming Hokage and how he would be a great ninja. He still couldn't believe that the loud little rookie was now a strong, mature man now. He was proud of the blonde that stood before him, and he knew his late sensei, rest his soul, would have been proud as well. Good luck with him, Hinata. Just to warn you, he's quite a handful. I know from personal experience, Kakashi teased, which caused a protest from his blonde student, and the girl to fight back a giggle. Oh, calm down, Naruto. I was just teasing, Kakashi said, still grinning since his eyes were in a U-shape, which meant he was still laughing on the inside. Yeah, whatever, Naruto grumbled a bit. We have a lot to prepare for. I can see the village is going to be swarming with visitors who would be all over a chance to witness the wedding of the world hero, Kakashi said, getting their attention. Not to mention we have to get things ready, Kakashi said suddenly, and only Hiashi knew what he was talking about. Ready for what? Naruto asked, and Hinata was also confused. Rokudame-sama is referring to your engagement party, Hiashi said, surprising the engaged couple. An engagement party? Naruto asked in disbelief. Hinata also looked surprised as well. Of course, Uzumaki-san. I believe it is the perfect way to announce your engagement to the rest of the village, Hiashi said to the younger male. But I already told all of mine and Hinata's friends, and I'm planning on sending a letter to Gaara and all my other friends. We even celebrated at Ichiraku's. Naruto protested, not liking where this was going. He knew that engagement balls were a bit stuffy, and if it involved the Hyuga clan, he knew he would not be having any fun. He had been to one of the Hyuga parties before, and he nearly died of boredom at the formal event. The only upside was that he at least got to dance with Hinata, and she looked so beautiful in her kimono, like a real princess. Uzumaki-san, you still have a lot to learn about politics. You plan to become head of the Uzumaki clan and Hokage someday, don't you? Hiashi asked, and Naruto nodded. You need to establish ties with other clans, not to mention this engagement, and wedding will help cultivate our friendship with the other hidden villages, Hiashi said. And it made sense, politically speaking, of course. Naruto was the key to their victory in the war. He was famous throughout the world, and he was the reason they were at peace with the other hidden villages. And this was a good chance to test that friendship. He's right, Naruto. This is a good way to strengthen our friendship with the other villages, especially now that we are at peace, Kakashi said, trying to keep himself in the conversation. All of our many allies, the other Kages, not to mention the daimyos and many others, will be expecting an invitation to your wedding. Not to mention your many fans would want to help the hero of the world celebrate his big day, Kakashi said to his student, who did not look pleased. Naruto put his face in his hands and felt a headache, while Hinata placed a hand on his shoulder. She somewhat expected something like this to happen. She was used to formal events like this due to her status as Hiashi's daughter, and she didn't mind the idea, but she knew Naruto grew bored at those things. Why does everyone want to use my marriage for their own agenda? Naruto muttered while Hinata tried to cheer him up. It won't be so bad, Naruto-kun. At least we will be together, Hinata said in an optimistic tone to her fiancé. Cheer up, Naruto. It's just a party, and you and your lovely bride are the main attractions, Kakashi said in good humor. Naruto sighed, and he knew he didn't even have a choice at this point. He had a bad feeling that this wouldn't be the end of these sudden surprises. To be continued. Chapter 8. News and Gossip. A few days have passed since the announcement of the engagement between village hero Uzumaki Naruto and former heiress Hyuga Hinata, and the entire village was talking about it. The villagers were overjoyed that their hero was getting married, and many were wishing the best for the happy couple, while many business were hoping to get in on the action. Naruto was an important person in the shinobi world, and he had a lot of fans, many who would no doubt come to the village just to see the grand celebration, especially with the announcement of the upcoming engagement party. Ino exiting a shop after buying the latest bridal magazines, since she wanted to help Hinata select the right gown when she noticed everyone was talking about the engagement between her friends, and well, she always had an ear for gossip. This is all so exciting, they make such a lovely couple, an old woman said to her friends, who nodded in agreement. Hyuga-sama is such a lovely girl, and she'll make such a beautiful bride, another old woman with glasses said in agreement. It's so romantic. It's almost like a fairy tale come true. Ino heard a little girl squeal in delight to what she assumed was her older sister. If that's what he wants, I suppose, the girl said, and Ino could sense the jealousy in her tone, which the little girl was oblivious to. Ino sighed and felt some sympathy for Hinata. She knew that she didn't like being in the spotlight much, but it looks like the entire world is going to be paying attention to her and her hubby-to-be now that they were officially going to tie the knot. It's going to be a big day, Hinata-chan, you're the star, and the whole world is going to be watching. Ino mused as she kept walking to the fabric store to pick up some samples to run by with Hinata. A person should only get married once, and she made it her mission to make sure that it ends up being the greatest day of Hinata's life, the wedding to end all weddings. Wahawaha. Ino snapped out of it when she heard several high-pitched screams and turned around to see a large group of young girls that were crying their eyes out. It just can't be so! A red-haired girl of 14 years old shouted, and she hid her face in her hands. How can Naruto-senpai do this to us? A blonde 15-year-old bawled and looked like she was about to go into a fetal positions. What does that Hyuga girl have that I don't? I'm just as good as she is, a jealous brunette of 16 said with her arms crossed, but she still had some tears in her eyes. Ino rolled her eyes at the overdramatic and embarrassing display, and just kept walking, though a part of her felt a little embarrassed that at one point of her life, she might have had a similar reaction if the groom in question was Sasuke Uchiha, but she's outgrown that. Mostly because of another tall, dark, mysterious but socially inept ninja who always somehow made it impossible for her to stay maid at least forever, that is. Ino smiled as she thought about Sai. While he's still trying to socialize himself, and he still tested her, and everyone else's patience, she still found her heart fluttering as she thought about his dark eyes and the way he tried hard to be normal in his own blundering way. Things were so different now. Naruto and Hinata were getting married and she might very well have a boyfriend now. It feels like it was just yesterday we were all just starting out. Ino sighed and felt some nostalgia, as she recalled the start of the Konoha 11 and all the adventures and connections they have made since then. Ino pictured both Asuma-sensei and her father and felt her heart clench, and tried to fight back the painful memories. It's been years since their passings, but it still hurt at times. Not to mention the losses of Niji-san, Sandame-sama, Shikamaru's dad Shikaku, and many others who made the ultimate sacrifice for their village and the shinobi way. If only you all were here to see this, Ino thought as she continued her path, before changing her tune. This engagement was a happy thing, and she couldn't afford to be depressed right now. She was on her personal mission to make sure Hinata has the wedding of her dreams. Ino finally made it to the shop and admired the many fabric swatches for bridal dresses. The many colors, patterns and material were gorgeous, and she knew Hinata would look stunning in each and every one of them. How can they expect us to choose just one? Ino whined as she mentally recorded the ones she liked and made her way to the door when she noticed three figures outside, and she instantly recognized them. They were Akane, Kid and AI, and they were Naruto's most persistent fangirls and could almost be considered the presidents of his fan club. They were the most well-known of Naruto's fans since they all originated from different villages but relocated to Konohajiruk in order to stay close to Naruto. Akane was the tall blonde girl of 18 who wore her forehead protector around her neck. Kid was the 17-year-old brunette, and AI was the one who always wore a cap, and she was also the youngest in the group since she was only 15. All three girls were crazy about Naruto and would follow him everywhere, even after he started dating Hinata, and they would always squeal about how heroic and amazing he was when they weren't being jealous of Hinata and fighting each other over who would have been a better match. I still can't believe Naruto-senpai is throwing his life away on that little mouse, AI said angrily. I agree, he would have been better off with me, Kid said, which soon started another of their infamous no-me fights, which lasted for a few minutes, and them going back to their conversation like nothing happened. Even Sakura and I weren't that bad, were we? Ino thought to herself as she overheard more of the angry conversation. She didn't consider it eavesdropping since it was a public place, and they weren't exactly making an effort to be private about it. I still don't understand why he chose her when he could have one of us, Akane said, wording it carefully to avoid another spat with her friends. It's her jugs, it's the only thing that makes sense, AI said with her arms crossed. It's obvious the only reason Naruto-senpai stays with her is because she put out, Kid said snidely, and Ino felt her blood boil at such an accusation. I agree, I bet you both that's probably the reason why for the engagement. I wouldn't be surprised if in a few months the population will expand, if you know what I mean, Akane said with an emphasis on the word expand. HMP, it's so pathetic. I adore Naruto-senpai, but I would never go that far before I was married, AI said self-righteously, and Ino found herself marching over to them in anger. You all take that back, Ino roared, startling the three younger girls, who realized that they had an audience. You three have absolutely no right to talk about Hinata-chan that way, Ino yelled to the stupid fangirls. What do you mean? Akane said in annoyance, which made Ino angrier. I'm saying that Hinata-chan is a wonderful, sweet girl, and you three are just a bunch of jealous hussies with too much free time on their hands, Ino snapped, which made the three girls glare at the steamed blonde girl. That Hyuga girl is just a self-centered bitch who's not good enough for our Naruto-senpai, Akane said angrily, only to gulp at the killing intent that Ino was sending. The only self-centered bitches around here are you three, and I heard what you said, and don't go accusing Hinata of being a slut. Especially when you propositioned Naruto just a month before the last Rinne festival, and if memory serves me, it was an offer he refused, Ino said, staring directly at Akane, who looked ready to kill. Why you? Akane threw a punch, but Ino easily dodged it, and a fight broke out between the four women, but Ino had the upper hand. Akane, AI and Ki might be kunoichi, but the three were just chunin, and they spent most of their time obsessing over Naruto than training. While Ino was a jonin and actually gave a damn about her training, it was still 3 against 1, but Ino was handling them with relative ease. You three aren't even worth this, Ino said as she easily dodged the many punches and kicks the other three were throwing at her. She was about to put an end to it when someone stepped in the fight. Ink flush was heard, and Akane, Kid and AI were suddenly restrained by what looked like snakes that were holding them like binds. What the hell? Kid yelled as she tried to break free from the restraints. Now ladies, I may not be aware for the reason for this little disagreement, but I don't think the middle of the plaza is an appropriate place to fight, Sai said as he walked towards Ino, who was smiling at him. Thanks for the help, Ino said to the pale but handsome male. Don't thank me. Believe it or not, you were not the one in danger here, Sai said as he gestured to the girls who were struggling to break free. I take that as a compliment, Ino said with a smirk. If I may, exactly what was this about? Sai said to the blonde girl who glared at her attackers. They were saying a bunch of made-up shit about Hinata and I wasn't going to let them get away with it, Ino said in a no-nonsense voice while Sai stood there with his fake smile. I see protecting one of your precious people, Ino-chan, very admirable, Sai said carefully, and noticed Ino was blushing. Sai then released the 3 kunoichi who promptly ran away since they were clearly outmatched. Cowards, Ino muttered in disgust before turning her attention to her boyfriend. So what brings you here? Ino asked since Sai rarely went out on his own. I was shopping for a wedding present for Naruto and Hyuga-san, Sai said, surprising Ino in the process. A wedding present? Ino asked. I read that it's customary for such occasions, Sai said in his usual way. I know it's customary, but it's a little early, don't you think, Sai? Ino said to the dark-haired male. Naruto and Hinata still haven't chosen a date yet, and Sai was already shopping for their gift. Is it? I was unaware I was being premature, Sai said in his usual way once more, and Ino found herself giggling for some reason. Nah, it's just that most people wait at least until the date's been announced before buying something, but there's nothing wrong with being early, Ino said with a smile. So what are you planning on getting them? Ino asked, and Sai blinked a bit. Truth be told, I'm not sure what to buy them yet. I read that it's best to find something practical but at the same time unique, Sai said, and noticed the sudden gleam in Ino's eyes and felt another strange chill run down his spine for some reason. Well, it's a great thing you ran into me. I'm going to help you find the greatest wedding present ever. Heck, I might as well pick something up as well, Ino announced, and before Sai could protest, she grabbed his arm and dragged him through the mall in her mad quest to find the perfect gift. Meanwhile, across the village, Hinata was on her way to the bakery to pick up some cinnamon rolls, her only other love besides Naruto. This afternoon, there would be another meeting to discuss the future of her marriage with Naruto, and they would be joining in. She, Naruto, her father and sister, along with a few others, would debate against Keisuke and his followers and fight for her and Naruto's right to live their lives their way. So far the clan was decided on the matter. Almost half of it was against the idea of making Naruto a Mikoyoshi, while the other half believe it was a great idea. Hopefully they would be able to convince the rest of the clan to see it their way. It was a stressful situation, and Hinata needed some comfort food, hence her visit to the local bakery for her favorite treat. Hinata soon saw her target up ahead, Nomura's Sweets. It was a simple business owned by a husband and wife team, and the sweets were positively delectable. Entering the establishment with the door jingling to alert the workers, Irashime, a plump woman said from over the counter, but her eyes widened when she saw who it was. Good afternoon, Nomura-san, Hinata greeted to the middle-aged woman. Oh, Hyuga-sama, it's a pleasure to have you here once more, Hanako Nomura, the female half of the business said with a large smile. I take it you came here for a special purpose, Hanako said, thinking about wedding cakes and other treats for such an occasion. The entire village was talking about the wedding of the century between the legendary Uzumaki Naruto and the lovely princess of the Hyuga clan. Only for some cinnamon rolls, please, Hinata said with a flush on her cheeks. She knew what she implied, but with everything that's happened, she didn't have the time to check out wedding cakes no matter how much she wanted to. Oh, Hanako said, trying to hide her disappointment and proceed to make the order. Hinata just stood there waiting, while she idly stared at the cakes and imagined a large white one for her and Naruto's wedding. Oh, Hyuga-sama! A loud, female voice brought Hinata out of her thoughts, and she saw a woman she has never seen before. Excuse me, do I know you? Hinata asked in confusion to the smiling woman. Greetings, I am Shibata Yumi. I am from the Konoha Live News and I would like to know if I could have an interview with you about your engagement to Uzumaki Naruto, Yumi said, in a professional manner, but on the inside she was beaming. Her show was still new, having had its premiere just a few months ago, but this story would her crown jewel. The wedding of the century between the hero of the world and the daughter of one of the most important clans in the village would sell like crazy. Hinata blinked a bit at the sudden offer. She knew that Naruto was famous, but she didn't expect to be interviewed, and she had enough things to deal with right now. I apologize, Shibata-san, but I am very busy today. Could this wait? Hinata said politely to the ambitious reporter. Ayumi frowned on the inside but kept her professional smile. This technically wasn't rejection after all, not to mention she knew she was being very bold. Most reporters had to at least call and properly schedule one, but she came here to pick up some cookies for herself and saw Hyuga girl, and she had to jump at the opportunity. But of course, Hyuga-sama, I'll have my people call your people, and we'll arrange a proper interview sometime, Ayumi said with a bow, and Hinata nodded while trying to move the conversation. An interview was the last thing she needed right now when she still had no idea what her future had in store for her. Your order, Hyuga-sama, Hanako said, startling the two women. Oh yes, thank you, Nomura-san, Hinata said with a bow and collected her box filled with her favorite treat. After paying and bidding goodbye to the young reporter, Hinata made her way back home, her head still filled with thoughts of what has happened lately. Getting engaged, learning about the elders' agenda, the preparations for her engagement party, all the planning she is to do with her friends who all seemed hell-bent on giving her the perfect wedding, and now some reporter, and likely others, were after an interview with her to discuss her future wedding with Naruto. It's been such a mess, and what's worse was that she's barely been able to enjoy spending time with her fiancé and get a start on the actual planning for the wedding. I'm getting a migraine, Hinata muttered as she tried to relax herself. Tonight was a big night, and she couldn't afford to get her nerves acting out. Everything will work out, and once this nasty business is behind us, Hinata sighed as images of a beautiful wedding filled her mind, with her and her beloved being spiritually united as husband and wife, which would be the start of their wonderful new life together. A wedding, a happy marital life, and eventually starting a family together. New lives would be created from her and Naruto's pure love for each other. Naruto-kun, Hinata thought dreamily as she thought about her beloved fiancé, and how soon her dream would come true. Soon she would be able to wake up next to Naruto, cook him breakfast, greet him when he came home, manage a sweet home of their own, and mother a son or daughter who would be theirs and there alone. It was just so beautiful. The only thing she wanted to make sure was that only she would be the one to change her name in the process, and she wasn't going to let any get in the way of that. To be continued. Chapter 9, Rising Tension. Naruto was currently walking through the village, needing to clear his head. Several villagers saw him and greeted their hero, which he returned with a smile, before going back to his troubled thoughts. Later tonight he was going to join Hinata and her father in a meeting that would discuss his future and his engagement, and whether we can convince them not to force him to give up his own clan and to protect his future children. I can't believe I'm doing this, Naruto whispered angrily as he kicked a pebble. He needed to relax and control his temper. He couldn't afford to lose it tonight. They were going to debate against Keisuke team and his cronies about the idea of making him a Mukoyoshi, or giving his future children that awful caged bird seal. He was going to make sure either happened. Just you wait, Keisuke team, Naruto growled as he thought about his adversary. He couldn't believe that he already despised Keisuke and he hasn't even met the old geezer yet. It was because of him he and his bride were in this shitty situation in the first place. Naruto was basically being threatened into either abandoning his family name, or have his children be branded, and all because Keisuke and the other Hyuga elders want someone in their clan to become Hokage, and he was apparently the best candidate for it. Sneaky, greedy bastards. Naruto thought bitterly as he felt anger and disgust at the underhanded methods being used to obtain the position he's dreamed of since he was a child. Naruto understood the desire. He would be a hypocrite not to. Being Hokage was a big honor, one he spent his entire life trying to obtain, and he wouldn't rest until he was finally given the hat, and have his face added to the mountain right next to Kakashi-sensei. He could also understand a clan wanting one of their own to achieve it, but he could not accept Keisuke and his followers' methods. What they were doing was blackmail, cheating, and threatening the lives of his children who haven't even been born yet. Not to mention Hinata, their engagement was supposed to be a time of complete and utter joy and bliss. They were supposed to be together, happily planning their wedding and preparing for their happy future together, but now they had to deal with this shit, and they weren't even completely sure that the future they'll have will be a happy one. No! Don't think like that, there is no way it will come to that. Me and Hinata will be married, and we'll be married the way we want to be, Naruto thought firmly as he thought about his beloved and his situations. No matter what, he was going to make sure that when they exchange vows, it will end with her becoming the new Mrs. Uzumaki rather than him becoming the new Mr. Hyuga. He loved Hinata with all his heart, and he would do anything for her. He would fight for her. He would kill for her and even die for her without a moment's hesitation. She was his most precious person, his soulmate, his angel, and the person he wanted to be with for the rest of his days. He would give hell to anyone who hurt her. He would do anything for his beloved, and Keisuke knew that. He knew there was no way he would back out of the engagement. The mere idea was too horrible to even comprehend. He wanted to be married to Hinata more than anything in the world. He would give his all to his beloved, and he also knew that he would even give up his name if he had to, but he hoped it won't come to that. Hyuga Naruto. Naruto visibly cringed as he thought about that name. It was like trying to mix oil and water. They just can't go together. Naruto glanced up to see the image of his father on the monument. He sighed. His father was a very smart man, and he would probably think of some clever plan to ruin Keisuke for good, while his mother would likely just stomp over to the Hyuga compound and give Keisuke and anyone else who had ill intentions an epic beatdown until they were begging for mercy. Naruto tried not to laugh at the daydream he was having of his admittedly scary but loving mother beating up the unknown image that represented Keisuke and his minions until there was a pile of battered enemies with her on top, laughing in glory for win and even holding a victory sign. Mom, Naruto thought fondly as he imagined his beautiful, sweet, and somewhat crazy mother. For most of his life he wondered and dreamed about who his mother was and what she was like, and he was pleased with what he found in Kushina Uzumaki. His mother was a beautiful, strong, and amazing woman, a true kunoichi, a dedicated wife, and a beloved mother who was loved and missed by many people, but most especially the son she sacrificed her life for, along with the village she called home. Kushina Uzumaki may no longer be alive, but Naruto still felt a strong attachment to her since their first meeting when he learned the truth of his origin. How his mother came from a proud, strong clan that unfortunately died out, leaving her and a few others as the sole survivors. She was a wonderful person. True, she was violent and could be a little scary, but she was a wonderful, loving person, and she would have been a great mother if she had the chance. If only, Naruto thought glumly as he kept walking in an aimless direction as he felt that same pain in his chest once more. Naruto shook his head and tried to fight the bitter feelings away. He had accepted his past and was content that he at least had a chance to meet and say goodbye to both his mother and father, to learn about those two wonderful, amazing people who loved him from the start, and to learn that their love even transcended death itself. His mother, his father and his clan, despite learning about them late in his life. Learning about them made him feel so complete, like the gaping hole he always bore was gone, as it was now filled with nothing but the spirit of his family. He had a family, and a legacy to protect no matter what. Don't worry, Mom. I'll make sure our family name continues, I promise, Naruto whispered silently as he looked to the ground. He knew his parents and clan were gone, and he was also the only male left with the Uzumaki name, and he had a duty to uphold. An unspoken promise he never even realized he made, but knew he had to complete no matter what. He had to rebuild his clan, to make sure that his future children are given his last name, and to make sure that the name Uzumaki will never end. His family name was important to him, and he was going to fight for it no matter what. He was not going to give up without a fight, especially not to an arrogant, old cheater who didn't deserve to be called a shinobi. There are no shortcuts to Hokage, and I'm going to make sure that old us understands that tonight, Naruto thought as he kept walking with renewed determination. Meanwhile, at the Hyuga compound, more specifically in the East Wing, Keisuke was busy talking to his fellow elders, or more specifically the ones who favored his motion. Currently there were only 8 elders within the Hyuga main house in total. These included Hinode, Kagari, Hizen, Yuta, Akio, Kajiro and his wife Hashimi, and Keisuke himself. Keisuke was the oldest member at the age of 86, having married twice in his lifetime, and both of his spouses have long passed away, leaving him 5 children in total and twice as many grandchildren, all elite members of the main house and true Hyugas in every sense of the word. Hizen was the second oldest at the age of 82. He only married once in his life, the daughter of one of their clan's allies who passed away over 20 years ago, but not before leaving him several sons, each skilled users of the Byakugan. Akio and Yuta were brothers, with Akio being the oldest by 3 years. Akio was 80 while Yuta was 77 years old, and Yuta was the only one who married and had descendants, since Akio never had the desire for a woman or child in his life. Hinode was 70 years old and she was a widow, though there have been some rumors that her husband had pleaded for death to escape her before the Shinigami finally granted his wish, something Keisuke didn't find hard to believe. Hinode was an old-fashioned and stubborn woman who only bore daughters, and both her son-in-laws were Mukoyoshis. Thankfully all of her grandchildren were born with the Byakugan, with her spoiled granddaughter Hitomi being the oldest. Kajiro and Hashimi were the only members that were still married, though their relationship has been strained for years now, not that either would admit it. Hashimi was a distant relative of Kajiro, and their marriage was arranged despite their age difference. Kajiro was currently 75 years old while Hashimi was only 67. They had only 3 children in their union, 2 daughters and 1 son who were all grown and were jonins now. Kagari was the youngest of the 8 since he was 65 years old and had officially retired from the shinobi business after an injury from a mission left him with a limp and the need for a cane. He only had 1 child, a daughter named Hoshi, who was married to a member of the Teitori clan, his wife having died on a mission 5 years ago. Keisuke was currently speaking with Kajiro, Hinode, Yuta and Akio to discuss their strategy for tonight. Unfortunately it seems that Hiashi got to those senile fools Hizen, Kagari and Kajiro's idiotic wife Hashimi. They were fools whose old age have made them lose sight of what was best for the clan, being swayed by the unrealistic, sentimental and unspoken wishes of Uzumaki-san's ancestors, though thankfully at least the majority still hasn't lost sight. This is becoming very tiresome, Akio said in an annoyed voice. You sound like one of those lazy Nara men, Brother Yuta said, smirking at his brother's glare. Both of you settle down, we have business to take care of, Keisuke said sternly to the pair of brothers. Remember that tonight we have to convince the rest of the clan that Uzumaki-san joining the family is in everyone's best interest, Keisuke reminded his fellow elders. We already know that, Keisuke. Just because we're old doesn't mean our memory is foggy, at least mine isn't, Hinode said snobbishly while the other men in the group glared at her. Be serious. We can't let this opportunity pass us. Need I remind you of what is to happen should Uzumaki-san wed into the clan, Keisuke said sternly to the only woman in their little group. The Hokage position was all, Keisuke said, that had everyone paying close attention. They knew that their dream of one of their clansmen becoming Hokage was at stake here. Not to mention the glory they would gain by having the hero of the world as one of the members of the main house was something they looked forward to having. The Uzumaki's fame and legend was almost on par with Hashirama-sama's, even the Sage of Six Paths as well, and they were aware of the guaranteed of him becoming Hokage. The boy was the hero of the world, and the entire village practically worshipped the ground he walked on. Millions of outsiders came from all over the world just for the chance to meet him, and his power and connections were truly remarkable. The question wasn't if he becomes Hokage, it's when he becomes Hokage. The marriage between the boy and Hinata-sama is a godsend, and I will not let that foolish Hiashi ruin things, Kiziuk said evenly, and ignored the jealous look on Hinode's face. I still believe my Hitomi-chan would have made a much better bride, Hinode said with a sour expression on her face, and Keisuke resisted the urge to roll his eyes, which in the Hyuga family meant he was really getting annoyed now. Will you stop that, Hinode? This may be our final chance to see one of our own achieve our clan's greatest ambition before the Shinigami comes for us, Keisuke said darkly, getting Hinode out of it. Just be grateful that he's chosen one of the daughters of the main house, it doesn't matter whom, Kajiro said seriously to the uppity old woman, who scoffed and muttered something incoherent. Keisuke regained his cool exterior, but on the inside he was fuming. He wasn't going to let this golden opportunity pass him. He didn't care how long he had to prolong this debate, or what he would have to say in order to convince the younger generation tonight, but he was going to make sure that Hinata-sama's groom joins their family. Only then would he be able to die in peace. He wasn't a fool. He knew he didn't have much time left before his death. He was very old, and his body was starting to feel the effects of his age. He was still as sharp as he ever was during his prime, and he knew that it was his only real weapon left. Anyway, let's go over the strategy for tonight, Keisuke said in a calm voice as he explained his ideas to his followers, who all nodded in agreement. Even if he might not live long enough to see the actual inauguration, he would still die content knowing that his clan's greatest ambition was secured, that someday soon a man with the Hyuga name would lead their village, and that he had a hand in ensuring it. Needless to say, tonight should be very interesting for the entire clan. Later that afternoon, Hinata arrived home and was getting dressed for the big meeting tonight. This was an important night, and she knew that many members were very formal, so she had to make sure both she and Naruto were well dressed tonight just to prove to them that this was serious to them. She even bought and gave Naruto some traditional robes for tonight just to prove their point. While the robes were nice looking, it wasn't Naruto's style and they both knew it. They were much more fitting on Niji, rest his soul. But it was only for one night, and to avoid the need for him dressing like that every day for the rest of their lives together. Her telling him that last part was what got him to accept it in the first place. Poor Naruto-kun, Hinata whispered to herself as she checked herself in the mirror. She was wearing a simple kimono that wasn't too flashy and was appropriate enough for tonight. Hinata heard a knock on her door and saw that it was her sister Hanabi. Hey Nei-sama, you're looking really good, Hanabi said truthfully. Her older sister was a beautiful woman, and she truly looked lovely in her kimono. Thank you, Hanabi-chan, Hinata said softly to her younger sister. Hinata checked herself in the mirror again, fixing her hair ever so slightly to make sure everything was neat. Tonight she couldn't afford to risk any foul-ups. You don't have to be nervous, Nei-sama, Hanabi said suddenly, which made Hinata flinch a bit. What makes you think I am nervous? Hinata stuttered a bit, which made Hanabi give her a look. Because it's obvious, Hanabi said flatly to her worried sister. Hanabi saw her sister's downcast expression and felt bad about it. She truly felt bad for her sister and Uzumaki-san. Ever since she was a little girl she noticed her sister's feelings for the blonde, and for a while she honestly didn't understand why her sister bothered with the village knucklehead. But over the years she noticed the changes in both her sister and the Uzumaki and came to respect him, especially after he proved himself when he saved the village from pain. I promise that no matter what, we'll get through this. It's your wedding and only you and your future hubby have the right to decide how to live your lives, Hanabi said earnestly, as she put a hand on her sister's shoulder. Her sister deserved to be happy with the man she loved, and she wasn't going to let her clan get in the way of it once more. Her childhood with her sister wasn't an easy one due to the unofficially rivalry they had to prove their worth to both their father and the rest of the clan. But she was just happy they managed to work out their differences years ago, and that their father proved that he did care about the both of them, unlike some of the elders who she was determined to give a piece of her mind to. True, she knew the reasons why the elders wanted to make Naruto a Mikoyoshi, and she understood their wish for one of their own to become a Kage. Even though she loved the idea of a Hyuga leading the village someday, it didn't mean that she would let them use her sister and future brother as their little pawns in their schemes. Too much of their lives been given to the clan, but this engagement, and her sister's happy future, will not be one of them. A Hyuga will become Hokage someday, but not this way, Hanabi thought ruefully as she helped brush her sister's hair. Meanwhile, just 2 blocks outside the compound, a certain well-dressed blonde was on his way to the vast estate wearing a poker expression on his face to hide what he was really feeling inside. Remember, you can't lose your cool. Hiashi says this is basically politics, something I'm going to face when I'm Hokage. I can't let my personal feelings work against me tonight, Naruto reminded himself for the 1000th time that night. The last few days Hiashi, Hinata, Hanabi and him have been making strategies in order to convince the other members of the clan to vote against making him a Mikoyoshi and to make them leave his children unbranded. Hiashi has warned him that Keisuke and the others may try and say something to rile him up, and he knew he had to be collected and diplomatic tonight no matter what. No matter how tempting it would be to sock them good. During the years, Kakashi-sensei, Iruka and even Tsunade Bakun have unofficially been training him to become Hokage, coaching and teaching him about the political and theoretical side of the position. It bored him to tears, but he had to suck it up. He knew that being Hokage wasn't easy and that the job wasn't always fun, but he knew he didn't care. He was going to be Hokage no matter what, and he was going to be the best one ever, even greater than his father, and the third was, may they rest in peace. Being Hokage meant making decisions not for himself, but for the village, and trying his hardest to give his home the safety it needed and to keep the peace with the other villages as well. Just think of tonight like a test, practice for when I'm officially Hokage and have to deal with that kind of garbage all the time, Naruto reminded to himself, and saw the estate in full view. He saw Madoka greeting him again and lead him inside. I will inform Hinata-sama that you have arrived. Please wait here, Uzumaki-sama, Madoka said with a bow, before leaving. Naruto sighed and just waited, eager to get this crap over with. "Oh my Uzumaki-san?" was heard, and Naruto turned his head to see an old man with the Byakugan. "Hello?" Naruto said in a confused voice. He's been at the compound about 100 times already, and he's never seen this man before. "It's a pleasure to officially meet you. I've heard many great things about you," the old man said with a bow, and Naruto remembered how strict some Hyugas were, so he did one as well. "Allow me to introduce myself. I am Hyuga Keisuke, and it's an honor to finally meet you face to face," Keisuke said magnanimously, and Naruto's eyes widened and he bit back his tongue. "So, it's you," Naruto thought furiously while he tried to keep his poker face as far as this old creep knew. He didn't even know he was the one who caused this mess in the first place. "I'm Uzumaki Naruto," Databeo Naruto said simply, and noticed Keisuke tried hard to keep a straight face when he said his family name. Bastard, Naruto thought bitterly as he eyed his adversary. Keisuke was ancient. He was dressed like what you expect from an elder from an elite family, and he looked like even a gust of wind was enough to knock him down. But if there was one thing that Naruto learned during his life as a ninja, is that things are never what they appear to be. This man was an enemy. He was a threat to him and the future of his family, and he had the nerve to pretend to be all polite and friendly. It was disgusting. "I believe I speak for everyone when I say you have no idea how pleased we all are for your engagement to Hinata-sama," Keisuke said in a polite voice, and Naruto kept a neutral expression while he inwardly rolled his eyes. I have some idea, you old creep," Naruto thought as he tried to keep a level head. His younger self would have called this phony out and kicked his ass. An option he still found very appealing, but the nagging voices in his head that more often than not sounded like either Kakashi-sensei, and at times Iruka-sensei, was yelling at him that it was a bad idea. "The pleasure is all mine. Hinata-chan is my most precious person," was all that Naruto said, and noticed that Keisuke's expression didn't change at all, and he tried to resist his urge to knock the old man's lights out. Hitting this man and yelling his real feelings would be counterproductive. He needed to be patient, and not do anything crazy that might come back to bite him in the ass later. "Well, I must get going now. It was nice to finally speak to you, Uzumaki-san," Keisuke said before leaving, and Naruto kept his eyes on his retreating figure. "Just what are you playing at?" Naruto thought suspiciously. He could see that Keisuke was up to something. He also knew he had to keep this guard up for tonight. Had Hiashi not told him about this old man, Naruto would have just seen his as some old Hyuga elder, one of the people he needed to convince tonight. Now he knew that this man was a snake in the grass. He can't be trusted no matter what. Soon Madoka arrived with his beloved and her sister in tow, both well dressed, and he also noticed the surprised look on Hanabi's face, no doubt because of the outfit he was wearing. "Go ahead, laugh. I look like a total stuffed shirt, don't I?" Naruto said with a deadpan expression, while Hinata and Hanabi tried to keep themselves from laughing. "Actually, I was going to say you look just like our father," Hanabi said with a cheeky expression to her irked future brother-in-law. "It's just for tonight, Naruto-kun, and another occasion," Hinata whispered, and Naruto gave a troubled expression. "You mean I gotta wear these duds again?" "When?" Naruto asked dismay and noticed Hinata blushed a bit, but he couldn't tell why. "Well, you do have to dress up for our wedding," Hinata said, blushing a bit, and Naruto lost his dismayed looks and feelings. Now that wasn't something he was willing to dress up for. "Oh," Naruto said, blushing as well when he heard that W word. "I mean, if you want to, I know now is not the right time to talk about our wedding, but I was thinking that a traditional Shinto ceremony would be lovely. What do you think?" Hinata asked to her fiancé, who was lost in thought. This was technically the first time they actively talked about their wedding since he proposed 2 weeks ago, and it did came out of the blue. "A traditional ceremony?" Naruto said as he thought about it. He imagined himself wearing an even fancier and less comfortable version of this get-up and sitting through listening to a priest making a long-winded speech before he and Hinata become united as husband and wife. Since it was a new day and age, he's heard about people making unique changes and styles to weddings. He's also heard something called a Western ceremony, which was becoming popular lately. He didn't know what it really entitled, but he still figured it couldn't be more uncomfortable than wearing these stiff robes, trying to keep place for who knows how long, and not to mention Hinata. Hinata. Naruto stopped as he imagined his beloved in a traditional wedding kimono, and his heart was beating faster. He suddenly felt light as he visualized his beloved wearing the pure white kimono he has seen on occasions on magazine covers. His beautiful Hinata as radiant as an angel in that pure white dress, using only the lightest of makeup to enhance her beauty and making her look like an angel, the symbol of a bride, and so much more. Beautiful, Naruto thought in a daze as he blushed as he still imagined his bride, dressed purely in a white kimono. "Naruto-kun?" Hinata asked, worried since it looked like he was in a trance. But it seemed the sound of her voice brought him out of it. "I think it's a great idea," Naruto said suddenly to his blinking bride. "Oh, alright," Hinata said happily to her grinning fiancé, who looked pleased. This was actually their first decision in regards to the wedding, and she felt a little happier. "Hey lovebirds, if you're done cooing, we have a meeting to get to." Hanabi's snarky voice brought the young adults out of their temporary bliss, and caused them both to blush. Hanabi-chan," Hinata said indignantly to her smirking sister. But they both knew she was right. Soon Hinata guided Naruto to the Hyuga conference room where the meeting will be held. "This is it," Naruto said to his fiancé. "Yes," Hinata said simply, and Naruto could tell she was nervous. He understood why, though their entire future was riding on gaining the majority vote, and making sure the elders never succeed in forcing him to give up his family name. He knew that he would never let his children be given the caged bird seal. He knew he would become a Mukoyoshi in order to protect them, but he wasn't going down without a fight. He owed to his mother that he was going to fight for his family, and his name no matter what, and Hinata would be by his side. Hinata, just to let you know that no matter what happens tonight, I love you. I want to be your husband no matter what. I want a family with you and I'll do anything to make that dream come true, Naruto said softly to his beloved who looked at him. His hand found its way to hers and he held it tightly, never wanting to let it go. He loved her with all his heart, and he wanted to be with her more than anything, but he also loved his mother and his ancestors. He knew that if he had to make the choice, he already knew what his answer would be. I also know that if I have to give up my name I'll do it. I never want to see our children wear that seal you hate so much, Naruto said truthfully as he looked into her eyes, meaning every word he said. It won't come to that, Hinata said in a rare moments of absolute confidence, a sight Naruto always enjoyed seeing. Naruto-kun, I've loved you for such a long time. I've dreamed of becoming your wife, and in each dream it ends with me becoming Uzumaki Hinata. I'm not going to let anyone change that, Hinata said seriously to her blonde lover. That's what I like hearing, Naruto said before kissing her, which she gladly reciprocated. They soon entered the conference room and noticed it was filled with each and every member of the clan, including the branch members. He saw Hiashi and Hanabi up front, and he noticed among the crowd Keisuke sitting with the other elders. Naruto and Hinata soon took their place next to Hanabi and Hiashi proceeded to commence the meeting. Good evening everyone, today's meeting will be over the matter of my daughter's engagement to Yuza-san, and which clan they will reside in, Hiashi said in a stern, clear voice. It's show time, Naruto thought to himself, and took a deep breath, and put his game face on. There was no going back now. To be continued. Chapter 10, Naruto and Hinata vs. Keisuke. It was finally here. The Hyuga conference room was filled to the brim with all its members, including the branch house since this concerned them as well. Today was the day of the debate which would decide the outcome of his daughter's future, and the fate of his eventual grandchildren. Should they fail, either Hiashi would be forced to witness his daughter's children be branded with the same seal that caused so much bad blood in his family, especially to his brother and nephew, or witness his son-in-law being forced to abandon his own clan in favor of the Hyuga way. That was why failure was not an option today. Hiashi's eyes landed on Keisuke, who was with the other elders. He was silent, but Hiashi knew he had a lot of tricks for this evening. He might be old, but Keisuke was a genius when it came to politics. It was one of the reasons why his father held him in such high regard when he was still alive. Keisuke was manipulative, conniving, and knew how to fabricate believable lies and convincing arguments at the drop of a hat, all the while making himself look as if he was reasonable and diplomatic, which he wasn't. Hiashi tried to keep himself from glaring at the deceptive old man. Keisuke might be tricky, but Hiashi wasn't exactly a fool himself. He and his daughters, along with Uzumaki-san, spent days preparing for this debate, discussed strategies and everything necessary to convince the majority of the clan to decide against using the caged bird seals on his daughter children when she joins the Uzumaki clan. That's not if, it's when she joins her fiancé's family. He was going to make sure that his clan won't be held responsible for the end of the Uzumaki's proud lineage, especially while their clan was already secured and prosperous. The subject of Hinata's engagement to the village hero was of utmost importance, and everyone simply wanted what was best for the young couple. The problem was that some people simply wanted to do what they thought was best for them, which was something Hiashi was doing his best to keep them out of it. People like Keisuke were very much in love with the idea of adopting the boy into their registry and making him learn all their norms in order to make the dream of a Hyuga becoming Hokage a reality, even if it was at the cost of another clan ending. Hiashi thought about the boy who would soon wed his elder daughter, along with the many Uzumakis that, while he may not have personally known, he respected for all the sacrifices they did in the name of the village. It was time someone did a sacrifice for them. Family honor was at stake here for his daughter, and her fiancé at least. Tradition made it clear that Uzumaki-san was expected to continue his family line and rebuild his clan, something Keisuke didn't care about so long as he got his way. Mark my words, Keisuke team, you will fail today, Hiashi thought in determination as he discreetly eyed his opponent for the evening, who was silently waiting for things to start. Hiashi saw his daughter and her fiancé enter, and he knew now was the time. Hiashi noticed that all eyes were on them now, some with looks of sympathy, other with looks of desire, and he noticed the younger generation was looking at them with admiration. In the case of Hinode's granddaughter Hitomi, it was both admiration and perhaps jealousy as well. Hiashi shook his head and ignored her. He had more important matters to attend to. Here goes everything, Hiashi thought while he kept his serious expression. Good evening everyone, today's meeting will be over the matter of my daughter's engagement to Uzumaki-san, and which clan they will reside in, Hiashi said in a stern, clear voice to the other members of the clan. The silence within the conference room was unnerving to someone who was not used to this type of formality like Naruto was. The Hyuga clan, being a formal clan, knew not to speak out of turn and were waiting for Hiashi to continue. It's come to my understanding that some members of the clan are not supportive of the idea of my eldest daughter joining the Uzumaki clan upon marriage, Hiashi said as he tried hard not to look straightly at Keisuke and his supporters. That's an understatement, Naruto thought sarcastically, but tried not to show emotion. However, as we all know, tradition states that when a clan is with little to no other members, any remaining men are expected to continue the family line. No exceptions, Hiashi said sternly. The Uzumaki clan was once a proud clan much like our own, as well as one of the village's greatest allies during its founding. Hiashi continued as he noticed many of the younger generation of the clan showed visible interest. It's sobering to know that such a proud legacy has been greatly reduced during the years. However, Uzumaki-san has an obligation to his clan to continue his family line, and in order to do such, his heirs must be given his name, Hiashi said carefully as he remembered his strategy with his daughter. Hiashi then was silent, and it was clear it was time for the opposing team to make their move. Hiashi saw a man raise his arm and he saw that it was Ichiro, a member of the main house and Keisuke's grandson. He was also on the side that favored the idea of making Uzumaki-san join the clan by force. Hiashi raised his brow at this. He assumed Keisuke was going to be the first to speak since this was his doing, but he knew that in the shinobi world you have to expect the unexpected. With all due respect, Hiashi-sama, while we understand that Uzumaki-san has a duty to his clan, we cannot forget we have our own duty to our clan, Ichiro said in a calm voice, though Keisuke was smirking on the inside. Ichiro was a proud member of their clan, and he was a very smart young man. He was all eager for the chance of making the hero of the war an official member of their clan, by any means necessary. There are very high chances that any children they have may gain the Byakugan, and if that were to happen, we are obligated to brand them with the caged bird seal unless they become members of the main house, Ichiro simply said. Naruto scowled and felt angry at the way Ichiro said it. His tone was so nonchalant, and it made him angry and disgusted. Hinata sensed his anger, and put a hand on his shoulder, getting his attention. Naruto looked at her and looked at the serious expression on her face. Even he could see the message she was trying to say. Now was not the time to show his anger. That was what they wanted. Uzumaki-san, how do you reply? Hiashi said suddenly, and Naruto knew it was his turn. Now was time for them to put their input and convince everyone here how selfish and stupid they were being, though even he knew that it probably wasn't wise to use those exact words right now. Taking a deep breath and briefly squeezing Hinata's hand, Naruto began. Everyone, I understand that you are concerned with your Kekkai Genkai, and only want to keep it from falling into the wrong hands, but I can guarantee to you all that no matter what, that the Byakugan will be protected even if it's within my clan, Naruto said slowly as he tried to remember his manners and keep his head cool. Now was not the time for screw-ups. It would be my greatest honor to take Hinata-chan as my wife, but I cannot accept my own children being branded simply for not being Hyuga's in name, Naruto said sternly. He tried hard not to smile as he noticed several members of the younger generation glancing down, which according to Hinata meant they were uneasy. It was obvious that the use of the caged bird seal was infamous even to some main house members. I understand the alternative solution is for me to become a member of the Hyuga clan, and while I am honored you seem to hold me in such regards, Naruto continued, though it was hard to force the last part out. Honored was not what he felt when Hiashi dropped the bomb on them, though he said it might be necessary to do some ego building by making them think he was. But I cannot forsake my own clan, any more than Ichiro, or any other man here could forsake theirs, Naruto said, and tried not to smirk when he saw the brief flash of anger on Ichiro's face. I can promise you all, however, that you can expect me to protect the Byakugan with my life, and you can expect help from me and my clan during any times of crises, Naruto said, before Hiashi gave him the signal to sit down. Take that, you old creep, Naruto thought as he eyed Keisuke and Ichiro, who were now whispering to each other. He could see everyone was discussing and thinking over what he said. After a few more minutes, it was time for Keisuke's side to speak again. This time Keisuke raised his arm and Naruto's eyes narrowed a bit. Uzumaki-san, I understand that you are a ninja of the highest caliber, and also a man of great honor. While I am willing to trust your word, there is more than simply protecting the Byakugan. There is also the matter of making sure your children unlock their potential and learn the art of our clan, something that cannot be granted to people who are not main house members, Keisuke said, and pretended not to notice some of the branch members glaring at the way he said that. It was predictable that Keisuke would switch from protection to potential, and not so subtly reminding everyone that their rules still existed. Luckily, Hiashi predicted this little sneak attack and had a nice counter to it, which means it was Hinata's turn. Yes, daughter, you wished to speak, Hiashi granted, and all eyes were on the former heiress. Hinata remained composed and took a deep breath. She was ready for this. Kizuyo-Kage-san, I must remind you that in the event if my children gain our Kekkai Genkai, I am fully capable of training them to control their Byakugan, Hinata said calmly. Had it been a few years ago, some people here would have told her she was not suited enough to pass their clan's technique to a younger member, but she was no longer that scared little girl anymore. She was strong and they knew that, and Keisuke hated that he couldn't use the "you're not suited for the task" line to counter her argument. Also, I should remind everyone that our clan's technique are no longer exclusive to the main house, as Niji Nizan, may he rest in peace, was allowed to learn them, Hinata said, and was pleased with the results. Niji may have been a member of the branch house, but he was still highly regarded as an elite and one of the most revered members in their clan's history. He was also the main reason both houses were getting along better over the years. Niji was and always would be a hero to her, and Hinata knew that if he was still with them, he would be fighting tooth and nail to make the fools here understand that there was truly nothing to lose from her marrying into another clan, and that there would be much to lose if Naruto ended up doing such a thing. With all due respect, Hinata-sama, branch house or not, Niji-san was still an official member of the clan in both name and blood, Keisuke said, and smirked as he noticed some more people were considering his point. With all due respect, Keisuke-Kage-san, we all know that he was firmly against the use of the caged bird seal, Hinata said in a cold tone. Inwardly, she was disgusted at the way Keisuke tried to use Niji's memory to strengthen his threat of branding her children with the same seal that scarred him. Everyone here knew that Niji despised the caged bird seal with every fiber of his being and hated the idea of seeing more of their own being subjected to it. He wanted nothing more than to see it abolished, and for their clan to finally be at true peace. As a family it hurt her that he would never live to see its day, but she wasn't going to let all his suffering and sacrifices be in vain. She was never going to let her own children face such a fate. Taking a deep breath and trying to keep herself calm, Hinata continued with her argument. Everyone, I understand that everyone here wants to do what they believe is best for the clan, but we have to accept that the caged bird seal has been counterproductive, especially in recent years, Hinata said and braced herself. Soon many main house members were arguing against her while the majority of the branch house and several younger members of the main house were defending her. Naruto stood there agape at the sight of some of the most uptight people in the village suddenly in a full-blown mass argument. So much for composed and proper, Naruto thought sarcastically as he saw everyone trying hard to make themselves be heard. The caged bird seal was created to protect our secrets from falling into enemy hands and to keep order within the clan itself, Yuta said sternly, only for a branch member to scowl. Then do you consider the branch house an enemy? Do you have absolutely no faith within your own clansmen? Ko said sternly. Ko might be a man of the main house, but he was against the use of the caged bird seals as much as Hinata and Niji were. How dare you accuse me of such things, Yuta yelled indignantly. He dares because it is truth. Iroha, a branch house member, said angrily. The clan was divided so that the main house would run things while the branch house protected the members of the main house, but in reality you only use the caged bird seal to control us like we're cattle, tools to be used instead of kin, Iroha said angrily, causing the other branch members to start arguing against the members again. Watch your tongue, branch house, Hinode said angrily, only for Natsu, a female of the main house, to glare at her. It seems Iroha's argument holds some truth, Natsu said sardonically, causing Hinode to glare at her. What did you just say, Natsu-chan? Asked in the tone which meant I dare you to say that again. Come off it, Hinode Abakan. It's the truth, and the real reason you all want Uzumaki-san to join the clan is for the glory of having the hero of the world as one of our own, Natsu said boldly. Natsu-chan! Hinode exclaimed in a scandalized tone of voice only for those around to roll their eyes, a clear sigh of annoyance in their clan. How dare you accuse my grandmother of such nonsense? Hitomi said angrily to her cousin. It's no surprise you would defend her, you both are exactly alike, Hoshi said evenly, and caused Hitomi to glare. What are you implying? Hitomi demanded. Enough! Hiashi yelled in a loud voice, no longer using his stern facade of being quiet and composed. Look at yourselves, and you all have the nerve of calling yourselves refined, Hiashi snide, which caused the majority to look down embarrassed for their behavior, especially with the hero of the world in the same room as them. Damn, Keisuke thought bitterly as things were heading south very quick. He could tell that more and more people were considering Hinata-sama's and Uzumaki-san's points, and that was very bad for him. Damn, it looks like I need to switch to plan B, he said sullenly as he waited for things to calm down. Hiashi-sama, forgive me for being so bold, but I believe I should point out that you are desperately trying to forsake one tradition in favor of another, Keisuke said, and was pleased to see that everyone was looking at him now. Excuse me? Hiashi asked in an accusing tone. What are you planning? Hiashi thought in suspicion as he noticed the change in tactics. You stated that tradition dictates that Uzumaki-san must rebuild his clan, no exceptions. Yet you are knowingly ignoring our own traditions for someone who is not even one of our own yet, Keisuke said, and ignored the death glare Hiashi was sending him. That bastard! Naruto tried to repress his anger and clenched his teeth. He couldn't believe he was trying to twist things around and make it look like Hiashi was being a hypocrite towards his own people. However, he also noticed that Hiashi still kept his poker face, though he could sense the anger radiating inside of him, not in hot fire anger but cold as ice. I gotta give him credit, he knows when to keep his cool, Naruto thought as he noticed Hiashi was going to speak again. Everyone, please try and understand I am not being disloyal to you all. I will do anything to protect the Byakugan and keep our clan safe, but you must also understand our Kekkai Genkai will be in good hands, as you said, Keisuke. Uzumaki-san is a ninja of the highest caliber, and will be an important ally in times of crises. I know I can trust him to protect both my daughter and the Byakugan no matter what, Hiashi said as he gestured to Naruto, who looked a little embarrassed of being referred to as a ninja of the highest caliber. Soon everyone was talking among themselves, thinking over both arguments, and it was making Naruto worry increase more and more. Now all in favor of placing the caged bird seal on my daughter's offspring after she weds into the Uzumaki clan, Hiashi said, and was dismayed to see that roughly half the room's hands were raised. All opposed? He asked and prayed that his desperation was not obvious. He was slightly relieved that half the room raised their arms as well. It was basically a tie, another deadlock. Damn you, Keisuke, Hiashi thought angrily but kept his composure. It seems that we cannot reach an agreement today, Hiashi said, and tried to keep his disappointment to himself. Hiashi dismissed everyone who promptly left the conference room, leaving Hiashi alone with both his frustrated daughters and his very displeased future son-in-law. Well, that was a bust. Naruto growled to himself. He couldn't believe that they were right back where they started. Indeed, damn that Keisuke, he knew he couldn't win today, so he opted to buy himself more time, Hiashi said, more angry at himself for not seeing that little sneak attack. You were right about him being a tricky one, Sir, Naruto said as he now knew why Keisuke looked so confident. It wasn't because he thought he would win today, it was because he knew a way to make sure he couldn't lose. I cannot believe we're still in deadlock, Hinata mumbled in dismay. She was so sure that she would be able to convince her clan that there was nothing wrong with her marrying into Naruto's family, but she underestimated just how many people trusted Keisuke over her own father. Don't worry, it's not forever, just think of this as a ceasefire. Keisuke may have bought himself some time, but remember, we still have half the clan on our side. Let's just use the extra time to turn things around, Hanabi said optimistically to her older sister. So now what do we do? Naruto asked. Now we stay strong and regroup, was all Hiashi said. Soon they saw Madoka entering the room with a phone in her hand. Forgive me for intruding, Hiashi-sama, but there is a woman claiming to be from the Konoha Live News on the phone, Madoka said to the leader of the clan. Hinata's eyes widened at the mention of it. With all that's been going on lately, she had completely forgotten about Shibata-san's request for an interview. A reporter? Hiashi said as he took the phone. After a moment, he handed it to Hinata. This person is requesting an interview with you, daughter, about your engagement, Hiashi said. Oh my, I didn't think she was serious, Hinata muttered as she took the phone. What do you mean? Naruto asked in confusion. This morning a woman came up to me claiming to be a reporter and asking for an interview, but I told her I was busy, and she said something about talking to my people to arrange a proper interview, Hinata explained to her beloved. Hello, Hinata said. Greetings, Hyuga-sama, I am Koyama Kyoko. I represent Shibata-san of the Konoha Live News. My employer will be hosting a show this Saturday, and would like to know if you're available that day, Kyoko said in a professional voice. One moment please, Hinata said as she placed her hand on the speaker part of the phone. They want to interview me this Saturday about our engagement, Hinata said to her father, fiancé and sister. Really? That's awesome, Naruto said to his flustered fiancé. Do you think I should? Hinata asked to her family and future husband. You should totally go for it, Hinata-chan, Naruto said without hesitation. He knew Hinata was special, and he thought it was time everyone else knew as well. I think it's a good idea and it will help with your PR image, sister Habani said to her older sister. Father? Hinata asked him, and Hiashi thought it over. An interview would probably work in their favor. Everyone watched the Konoha Live News and maybe it would get more attention from Keisuke's followers. I believe it could work in our favor, daughter. We can't just tell them our situation, but maybe sometime in the limelight will help get more attention from Keisuke's foolish followers, Hiashi explained to his eldest, who nodded her head. She wasn't sure if she was comfortable with talking about her feelings of her engagement in front of the entire village, especially when she can't reveal the complete truth without risking repercussion. But if it would help her knock some sense into her clan, she supposed she could do it. Koyama-san, I accept, Hinata told the representative, and Hinata could almost hear what sounded like a muffled squeal. Wonderful, Hyuga-sama, the show will be this Saturday at 8 a.m. sharp. We'll send some people for you also if you don't mind. Do you think it would be possible of getting your fiancé to join you? My employer would like to know if it would be possible to talk to both sides of the village's favorite couple, Kyoko asked to the Hyuga heiress. Hinata tried to fight her blush at being told she and Naruto were the village's favorite couple. She was 20 years old, and already engaged to be married. She had to stop being flustered so easily. She's asking if you would like to join me for the interview, Naruto-kun, Hinata said to her blonde fiancé, who shrugged. He was used to being interviewed by now, and he honestly didn't mind. Besides, he would get the chance to show the whole village just how lucky he was to have Hinata as his bride. Sure, I don't mind, was all Naruto said to his dark-haired bride. Hinata soon made the arrangements, and they were all set. Looks like we'll be busy this Saturday, Hinata said while her fiancé shrugged his arms once more. It was bound to happen at one point, Naruto said. Speaking of which, let's not forget about your upcoming engagement ball. The preparations are still underway, Hiashi reminded while Naruto let out a groan. Not that again, do we really have to? Naruto asked, and Hinata tried to resist her giggling at his whining. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, but you know what Rokudame-sama said, it's to help strengthen our ties with the other villages, Hinata said to her pouting fiancé. More like to bring more tourists, Naruto muttered under his breath. Hiashi soon returned to his office, leaving his daughters and the blonde youth alone for the time being. Once at his desk, his eyes glanced at a familiar picture. He stared at the image of his late wife and felt that same feeling all over again. Hikari was the daughter of one of their allies. She was never a ninja, but she was the youngest daughter of an important family. Her lack of a Kekei Genkai made her perfect for marrying into their clan, since it would cause a lack of political conflict. Despite the fact that their marriage was arranged since he was a boy, he always loved her and was pleased that such a beautiful, kind and brilliant woman felt the same way about him. His Hikari was like an angel, only now she truly was one. He tried to ignore the familiar pain. He knew that if she was still alive today, she would be doing all she could to help him protect their daughter and grandchildren from the elder's intentions. He knew she hated the caged bird seal and all it stood for. Hiashi soon found himself glancing at another picture in the room. It was the picture of his beloved brother and nephew. It was back when Niji was still too young for the caged bird seal. It broke his heart to know that he couldn't keep his promise to his brother, that he couldn't protect the only thing he had left of him. The only thing he could do now was to make sure that their sacrifices were not in vain. Hiashi knew that he wasn't going to give up until the caged bird seal was nothing left but a memory, a bad memory. He was sick and tired of the elders and the more uppity members of the main house corrupting the system, treating the branch members like they were nothing else but servants, and treating outsiders as if they were unworthy without the Hyuga name. No more. He swore to his daughter, his late wife, his brother, his nephew and the many other members of their family that were scarred by that accursed seal that no matter what he would, see it ends once and for all. I promise this time I will not fail, Hiashi thought to himself, as he touched the image of his nephew. No matter what, failure was not an option. To be continued. Chapter 11. Interviews and preparations for the ball. Konohaguruk. 10 years later. It was a proud day for the entire hidden village of Konohaguruk. The sky was clear. The weather was warm and all of the villagers were dressed in the white formal robes as they awaited for the man who after today would lead their village into a new age. It was supposed to be a happy day for the village as they were thrilled to see the man who they deemed their hero achieve his lifelong dream and become their new leader. Within the crowd there was a woman in her early 30s, wearing a white robe like all the rest, but this woman was rather distinctive among the many villagers. She had dark, shiny hair that reached her shoulders, she had a light skin tone, but the most noticeable was her lavender, pupilless eyes that marked her as a member of the prestigious Hyuga clan. This woman was Hinata, who was waiting patiently for her husband's inauguration to start. Hinata was standing in the crowd with 2 small children by her side. What was startling about these 2 children was that they resembled both her and her husband Naruto greatly. The boy had wild, blonde hair and whisker marks, while the girl had her dark indigo hair and her father's large smile, and both children had pale lavender, pupilless eyes, just like their mother. I can't believe the day has finally arrived, Hinata said to her 2 children who were smiling widely. I know, I can't wait to start telling everyone the Hokage is my dad, the blonde boy said in a proud tone. Daddy is amazing, the cute little girl said in true admiration. Hinata noticed the fireworks and saw Rokudame-sama up on the stage, still wearing his mask even after all these years. Kakashi stood before the village he led for many years, at the many people he guided and protected during his time as the Hokage. A time that has now come to an end. Now we shall begin the inauguration ceremony of the 7th Hokage, Kakashi said in a loud and clear tone of voice so the entire village could hear. This ceremony shall be hosted by the 6th Hokage. I, Kakashi Hatake, would like to thank all of you for your attendance, Kakashi continued as he looked at the villagers. Now was the time to pass the torch to a new man who would continue protecting them with his very life. The same man he remembered training when he was nothing but a loud and crazy genin of 12 who would always boast about how someday he would be Hokage and make everyone acknowledge him. He was proud to see his student's greatest dream came true today. Now let's have him step up on the stage, the man who will take my place as the 7th Hokage, Kakashi said as a man approached on the stage. I'm sure you're all aware of Hyuga Naruto, Kakashi said as he gestured to the village's new leader. Hinata's eyes were on her husband, but right now she couldn't feel any joy at the moment at what she saw. The entire village was staring at their new leader with complete admiration and some with even worship, while his clan only stared with a mixture of pride and satisfaction, and his wife could only wear a fake grin to hide her own sadness, while their children remained oblivious to what really went on with their parents. And they have no reason to suspect something was wrong. This is all they have ever known. Naruto was no longer the man she married all those years ago. His hair was no longer wild and spiky but was now clean cut and slicked back. The clothes he wore were also very different. They were too old-fashioned and fancy than the style he used to wear as a young man. But what haunted Hinata the most was what she saw in his eyes. Those eyes. No longer were they filled with that energy, enthusiasm and determination she admired since she was a young girl. Now they were empty, cold, serious, and it was almost like he didn't have a reason to be enthusiastic anymore, and she knew the reason why. The elders broke him. They managed to mold him into the puppet they wanted, the ideal Hyuga man in all but blood, formal, serious, perfectionist, traditional, proper, logical and loyal only to the Hyuga name. The exact opposite of the Naruto she had always known and loved with all her heart. The man who she was deeply and irrevocably in love with was like a force of nature that proved to the world that he could do literally anything when he put his mind to it. Her Naruto was wild, boisterous, energetic and had an unbreakable will and spirit. He was a kind and noble spirit who was deeply loyal to those he deemed his precious people and would have gone through hell and back to defend them. Her Naruto was a diamond in the rough. He may have had his flaws, but his soul was truly unlike any other, or at least it was. Whoever that man on the stage was, whoever she was married to right now, he wasn't Naruto. At least not anymore. Naruto only stared at the villagers who looked up to him in admiration. He didn't even give that grin she used to love so much. He only gave a small bow to them as it was the proper response. Hinata felt a tear slide down from her eyes. Anyone who saw likely just thought they were tears of joy for being married to the new Hokage, but that wasn't even close. Oh Naruto-kun, I'm so sorry for letting this happen to you, Hinata thought in bitter sadness while she glanced at her children. She loved them with all her heart, and everything she and her husband did was to protect them even at the cost of who her beloved truly was. He gave up his old clan, his name, his personality, and even his way of living just to protect them. He gave up who he was for his family, and now whoever he was now was just a stranger who was now everything her clan wanted. Their dream came true today. A Hyuga finally became Hokage, but at the cost of the existence of Uzumaki Naruto. Ah! Hinata screamed at the top of her lungs and looked around her. She noticed she was in her bed, with no children, no ceremony and no stranger with Naruto's face. Hinata panted as she tried to regain control of her heart rate. It was just a nightmare, Hinata muttered as she tried calming down. She quickly glanced at her clock and saw it was 4 a.m. She wasn't supposed to be up for another 2 hours. She really needed her rest, especially since she was going to be interviewed later today. Hinata sighed and tried to go back to sleep, but it was hard. Visions of the man from her dream, the man who looked like her beloved but was the exact opposite, still haunted her, especially the dead look in his eyes. She knew it was just a dream, a nightmare really, but what if it was more than that? What if it was precognition of the future? What if they really couldn't convince the clan to vote against branding their children? What if Naruto becoming a Mukoyoshi really was the only option they have? Stop it! It's just the stress of the situation. Naruto promised that he was not going to give up without a fight, and I promised him that it would never come to that. Hinata muttered to herself as she tried to fight back those bad thoughts. She gave her word that her fiancé and herself would never let the elders control their lives. She gave him her word and he gave her his. That was their nindo, to never go back on their world. It was her ninja way. No matter what, their children would be Uzumakis in both blood and name, and they would live their lives without that awful seal that only gave her bad memories. No matter what. I promise you, Naruto-kun, I will make sure it's you whom I'm married to 10 years from now, and not that man that was created by my clan's greed. Hinata whispered to herself as she tried to go back to sleep. She needed all of her strength for this battle. Later that day, Hinata was getting ready for her big interview with Shibata-san. It was a live event being broadcast to the entire village, and she needed to look her best. She needed to wear something elegant but not too flashy. Ultimately, she decided to wear a modest lavender blouse and a black knee-length skirt, which was sophisticated but modest at the same time. She chose to be light on her makeup, using a pale pink lipstick and some light blush. She rarely wore makeup unless it was a special occasion, but she decided this counted as such. It was not every day a person gets asked to be interviewed on live television after all. Madoka soon arrived to tell her that Naruto was waiting for her at the entrance. Hinata soon saw her fiancé in his usual orange sweats and jeans, and tried hard to suppress a giggle. This was the Naruto that she fell in love with. This was the same Naruto she wanted to be married to 10 years from now. Not that man she saw in her dream. Wow, you look amazing, Naruto said, admiring his beautiful bride-to-be. Hinata blushed and smiled. No matter what, she vowed that things would go their way. Thank you, Hinata said as she took his arm as they waited for Koyama-san to arrive to take them to the TV station. Soon a group of people came with a well-dressed woman leading them. Hinata knew this had to be Kyoko. Soon they were on the way to the TV studio for their big interview. Neither were aware that a pair of pupilless lavender eyes were glaring at them with a mixture of envy and longing. It was Hyuga Hitomi, Hinode's granddaughter and an avid fangirl of Naruto's. What on earth does she have that I don't have? Double. Hitomi thought as she referred to her distant cousin. She knew Hinata was beautiful and was no longer the meek mess she was as a child, but Hitomi was never shy or weak. She was one of the top students in her graduating class and has been a Jonin since she was 15. That was a full year younger than when Hinata became one. There was also the matter of their looks. Hitomi had dark brown hair down to her lower back. Her skin was light and flawless, and she worked hard to maintain her figure. Needless to say, she had no shortage of suitors, but she was holding out for the best of them all. And she knew who that was, the village hero and the man every girl wanted to be with, the man who strong, powerful, honorable, revered and highly regarded by the rest of the shinobi world. The man who had the Hokage title reserved and more. Naruto-senpai, Hitomi thought as her heart sped up as she glanced at the blonde from the distance, ignoring her meek and mousy relative and just focused on the man of her dreams. She was still a Chunin when the war ended and there was almost a 3-year age difference between them, but Hitomi knew that she wanted to be married to Naruto Uzumaki no matter what. He was tall, handsome, strong, famous, popular, and the most respected ninja in history. She wanted him more and more, but for whatever reason he was focused on Hinata and completely ignored a woman like Hitomi. Better be careful, cousin, or I might be tempted to show your fiancé what a real Hyuga woman is like, Hitomi whispered to herself as she left to go find her grandmother. In hard times, Hitomi could always count on her grandmother to be there for her and give her advice, especially on matters of the heart. Konoha News Live Studio, 7:45 p.m. Across the village, Naruto and Hinata have just arrived to the TV studio and were being greeted by the personnel. Hyuga-sama and Uzumaki-sama, it's an honor to have you both here, Yumi said, bowing to the village's golden couple, which Hinata returned and Naruto imitated her. Thank you for inviting us, Shibata-san, Hinata said to the young reporter, who gave her a smile. This interview was a welcome surprise. Her father believes it's a good chance to get more people from their clan to see things their way, and Hinata was going to take advantage of it. I should be the one thanking you both. It's an honor to be able to speak to both sides of the village's favorite power couple, Yumi said, earning a blush from Hinata and a wide grin from Naruto. I know I'm not the only one who is eager to know more about your love story, Yumi said with a smile as she led the couple to the set. Ayumi soon began to instruct the agenda, when their cue would be to walk on the set and start the interview. Do you really think this could work? Hinata whispered to her fiancé as they watched Ayumi start her show. It couldn't hurt, and I believe in us, Databeo, Naruto said as he gave her hand a firm squeeze, calming her down. Hinata looked at her beloved's eyes filled with nothing but love and concern directed towards her, along with the beautiful spirit that was Uzumaki Naruto, unlike the cold, empty eyes of that stranger from her nightmare. She was determined to make sure things ended up going their way no matter what. Keisuke was going down. Soon a worker gave them their cue and they soon found themselves on the set sitting on couch while Ayumi was still speaking to both the camera and her live audience. Good morning, Konoha Garuk. I am Shibata Yumi and this is the Konoha News Live, Ayumi said to the camera. Today's I have the pleasure of interviewing the village's favorite couple, Uzumaki Naruto and his lovely fiancée Hyuga Hinata, Ayumi said as the camera soon focused on the couple in question. Since Naruto was used to being in the spotlight, he gave them his trademark grin while Hinata merely gave a polite smile. Once the audience's clapping slowed down, Ayumi turned to her guests. Naruto-san, I believe I speak for all of us that I would like to say congratulations for your engagement, Ayumi said, which made Naruto grin. Thanks, Naruto said with his usual smile. If you don't mind me being so bold, I would like to ask you both some questions about your relationship and your plans for the future, Ayumi said, and Hinata tried to remain neutral when she heard future. Fire away, Naruto said to the reporter. What I believe everyone would like to know is how did all this happen? When did your love story start? Ayumi said, trying to be professional, but deep down she was rather excited to know. Hinata blushed a bit at the rather personal question but shook it off. She loved Naruto, she was marrying him, and she wanted to show everyone how much he meant to her, and how much being Mrs. Uzumaki meant to her as well. Well, Shibata-san, we started dating after the moon crises, but things go further back, Hinata said with a slight blush. Yes, I recall that day. That was when you saved us all from the moon crushing us, wasn't it, Naruto-san? Ayumi asked to the blonde. I wasn't alone, I had Hinata and my team, not to mention everyone else pitched in, Databeo, Naruto said to the reporter who looked more interested. You should have seen Hinata during that fight, she was really something else, Naruto said with an obvious amount of pride while Hinata tried not to blush at the praise. Naruto soon went on how their adventure was, with Hinata pitching in each time, though it was mostly to get Naruto to stop exaggerating her role in the events, though Shibata believed they were both being modest. That's quite an adventure, and you both are living happily ever after? Shibata asked with a smirk which made Naruto grin and Hinata give a small smile. Yes, was what both said as they looked at each other. Now Hinata-sama, you mentioned that there had been some chemistry between the two of you long before the moon crises, am I correct? Ayumi asked to the dark-haired woman who nodded. Yes, the truth is I have always admired Naruto-kun from a distance, ever since I was a young girl, to be honest, Hinata said. A little flustered, she was pouring out her feelings for the entire village to see, but also that she didn't care. She loved Naruto, and didn't mind letting everyone know that. It was a few days before I entered the academy. I was walking through the park when these three older kids came up, Hinata said as she frowned at that part of the memory. They were making fun of me because of my Byakugan. They accused me of looking down on them when I wasn't, and they kept trying to provoke me into a fight, Hinata explained. But then Naruto came up and told them to leave me alone. He defended me even though it was 3 against 1, and he didn't even know me, Hinata said as she felt her heart flutter a bit. They were jerks and I wasn't gonna let them think they could treat you that way, Naruto said in his usual determination, the kind that always made Hinata's heart skip a beat. And you defended her honor, how romantic, Ayumi said with a smile. And what became of those bullies? Shibata asked, though her tone implied that she assumed Naruto took care of them. Well, they kinda kicked my butt, Naruto said with an embarrassed smile which almost made Ayumi face fault. You were still very brave, Naruto-kun. You didn't even know me, and yet you didn't regret trying to protect me even if you got hurt, and your scarf got ruined, Hinata said in true admiration which everyone could see. It was just a scarf, and it didn't even hurt, Naruto said, as he placed his hand on hers. Shibata-san, even if I didn't know at that time that was the day I found the man I was destined to fall in love with, Hinata said in a loving tone as she glanced at her beloved. Ayumi was smiling and looked like she was truly enjoying this. Apparently she found a childhood love story very sweet. An innocent childhood love that grew over time, Ayumi said in a sweet tone. And then what happened? Ayumi immediately asked to the Hyuga girl, who blinked a bit. It seemed Hinata underestimated just how much Ayumi was getting into this. As much as I cared about Naruto-kun, I was very shy back then, and I had trouble approaching him, Hinata said looking down. Out of all the mistakes she made in her life, what she was most ashamed was letting her shyness keep her from becoming close to Naruto early on. Naruto had no one there for him as a child, and it made her ashamed that she allowed her weakness to control her, along with the elders who made it clear they didn't want her close to that boy, as they call him. It made Hinata even more furious at their blatant hypocrisy with the stunt they were trying to pull now. Not that she could express it right now. It was only after we became genins that we started becoming real friends, Hinata said as she glanced at her beloved, who looked upset. We were always friends, Hinata-chan, Databeo, Naruto insisted to his bride. I was a real idiot for not noticing you back then, Hinata-chan. You liked me and I was too stupid to even realize the gift that was being offered to me, Naruto said honestly. Naruto-kun, it's not your fault. I didn't exactly say anything, Hinata said glancing down. I still should have at least noticed you, Naruto said, as he smiled lovingly at her. Ayumi looked neutral, but on the inside she could feel her heart melting at the chemistry between the two lovebirds. It was obvious they both loved each other greatly, and that was great for ratings. Naruto and Hinata soon mentioned more of their past exploits. Hinata mentioned how Naruto cheered for her when she fought Niji during the Chunin exams, and Naruto told them about how Hinata encouraged him before his fight with the same ninja. They also mentioned stuff like missions they went on together, hanging out with their mutual friends, and many other moments that were precious to both. Until the time came to talk about what happened during the invasion. And there I was, pinned by pain. I was struggling to break free, but it was too much. I was desperate to think of an escape when Hinata appeared to the scene, Naruto said to the captivated audience who were enthralled by the love story. I demanded Hinata to leave, to get to safety since it was dangerous, but she wouldn't budge, Databeo, Naruto said. I wasn't going to abandon you, Naruto-kun, Hinata said, as she would never regret protecting the man she loved. I still remember the whole thing, Naruto said as he started to reminisce the day that, while he didn't realize at the time, it changed the way he would always look at that beautiful Hyuga girl. Naruto went on explaining how his fiancée defended and protected him even though the odds were against her, telling them how brave and amazing she was as she never once backed down, and swore she would protect him even at the cost of her life. He even explained in details her twin lion's fists, which he still found amazing to this day. The more Naruto explained his tale, the more Yumi and her viewers were loving it and admiring the Hyuga princess even more. That's how it all went down, but somehow I managed to regain control of myself, and well, you all know the rest, Naruto told the captivated audience, who was amazed by the little revelation. Everyone knew the story about how Naruto saved them all from pain, but they were pleasantly surprised to learn of the valiance and bravery from his love interest. You are truly an amazing woman, Hinata-sama, Yumi prized to the blushing girl. Yes, she sure is, Naruto said proudly. You both have faced quite a few adventures together, and are about to face another, Yumi said with a smirk. You have no idea, Hinata said, keeping a composed face, but on the inside she was frowning. They both knew she was referring to the wedding, but they couldn't help but be reminded of their situation with Keisuke and his minions and how much their future was riding on getting the clan to agree with them. So Naruto-san and Hinata-sama, when is the big day? Everyone is dying to know, Yumi asked to the happy couple. We haven't chosen a date yet, Shibata-san, Hinata said honestly to the reporter that almost face faulted. With all the drama with Keisuke, they couldn't get any real planning done, much less chose a date, but they couldn't flat out say that. Yeah, we've been really busy was what Naruto said, trying to keep it as vague as possible. I understand, but is it true that the date for the big engagement party has been decided? Ayumi asked to the two. The entire village was keeping tabs on the celebrity couple, and were eager for both the wedding and the big engagement party. Everyone who was anybody wanted to attend. Yes, it's next Friday, Hinata said while Naruto tried to hide his frown. He was definitively not looking forward to be surrounded by a bunch of stuffed shirts, wearing an uncomfortable fancy outfit, and have to talk about politics with a bunch of old men, but he knew he didn't have a choice anymore. It's going to be held in the ballroom of the Royal Leaves Hotel Resort, Naruto answered to the audience. A very chic, Ayumi said in an impressed tone, since that was one of the most expensive hotels in the Land of Fire. Oh, I almost forgot, so far we have discussed about both your past and present together, Ayumi said. I believe it's time to start talking about the future, Ayumi said to the couple, who didn't even flinch. They were prepared for this. So have you both thought about having children? Ayumi asked to the couple, who still remained composed. Considering the fact that they were jumping through hoops just to protect them from Keisuke's greed meant that yes, they do intend to have some in the future. Absolutely, Naruto said with his usual enthusiasm. Yes, we do intend to, Hinata answered in a more refined tone of voice. How many? Ayumi asked to the two. As many as possible, Naruto said quickly. He always knew that if he had kids, he wanted a lot of them. Whatever Kami-sama decides to send us, Hinata said while trying to hide her blush from Naruto's answer. Any preferences? Ayumi asked while both shook their heads. I don't really care what we get as long as it's ours, Naruto said honestly while Hinata nodded in agreement. What about names? Have you decided about names yet? Ayumi asked while Naruto shook his head. Not yet, Naruto answered when Hinata got his attention. Well, to be honest, I have always been fond of the name Himawari, Hinata said while Naruto blinked a bit. Himawari? Naruto asked as he thought about the name. Yes, I always thought if I had a daughter I would like to name her Himawari, Hinata said with a blush. This was technically the first time they were even formally talking about children, and it was on live television. I like it, Naruto said with a smile. Uzumaki Himawari, that is a very cute name, Ayumi said with a smile, and both agreed. They both knew it sounded better that Hyuga Himawari, that's for sure. Ayumi then asked more questions about their plans, and they tried to answer it as vague and simple as possible, leaving out what was truly happening in their engagement. The less outsiders knew the better. At least that's what Hiashi warned them. Clan affairs must be resolved on their own after all. Ayumi soon wrapped everything up and bid a good day to her viewers, and Naruto and Hinata hoped that it would be enough to get to the more stubborn members of the clan. That was simply marvelous. Everyone adored you too, Ayumi said in a pleased tone as she approached her guests. Thank you again for having us, Ayumi, Naruto said to the reporter. Yes, thank you, Shibata-san, Hinata said with a bow. Soon the young couple left and were on the way back home, feeling a mixture of anticipation and nerves. Do you think it worked? Hinata asked to her blonde fiancé. Let's hope it did, was what Naruto answered. Naruto! Hinata! The couple turned around to see Sakura approaching them. I just saw the interview you guys did with Shibata, Yumi, and the entire village is going more crazy than usual about you two, Sakura told to her two friends. Really? Hinata asked to her pink-haired friend, who nodded in agreement. Yeah. Everyone has seen it. Also, Naruto, I came to warn you about something, Sakura said to her blonde friend, who blinked. Naruto. A loud female voice was heard and Naruto turned to see Tsunade marching to him, obviously ticked off. Tsunade-sama is back, Sakura said with a sweat drop. Yo, Bachan! Naruto said to the former Hokage, who still looked upset. Don't botch on me. Why is it I had to find out about your engagement from that interview you did? Tsunade asked accusingly while Shizen finally caught up to her with Tuntun in her arms. What do you mean, Bachan? Didn't you get my letter? I thought you guys were on another gambling spree in Kirigakure? Naruto asked to the older woman, who suddenly looked embarrassed. Oh, I guess it must have gotten lost in the mail, Tsunade said, looking down while Naruto looked at her suspiciously. Or you got carried away again and ran away from your debt before the letter reached you, am I right? Naruto said in a sarcastic voice while Tsunade tried to deny it while Shizen shook her head. You know her all too well, Naruto, Shizen thought with a sweat drop, but she kept quiet. Anyway, now that the misunderstanding is behind us, congratulations you two. I always knew you two would tie the knot someday, Tsunade said, feeling truly happy for the couple. Thank you, Godame-sama, Hinata said to the former Hokage. Just a heads up, Hinata, he's a handful, Tsunade teased, and Naruto argued back while Sakura was laughing a bit. The 5 shinobis plus Tuntun were heading back to the Hyuga compound but stopped each time a citizen came to greet the happy couple and give their congratulations. You two are certainly a hot topic, Tsunade said to the 2 blushing lovers. I can see why. You both are a lovely couple, Shizen said, smiling, though on the inside she tried to hide her depression. She truly was happy for the two, but she was almost twice their age and she was still single. Stop it, this is a joyous time. Don't be bitter, Shizen reprimanded herself, while she kept smiling at the engaged couple. So any news from Sasuke? Naruto asked to Sakura, who shook her head. No, not yet, Sakura said as she thought about her dark-haired love. I hope he got the letter. I know he's on his quest, but I really hope he shows up for the wedding, Naruto said honestly. He truly wanted to have his entire team present on his big day. I'm sure he will, Sakura said, though even she had some doubts. Sasuke has changed a lot, and while she was happy he finally saw the light, and is no longer an enemy of the village, he still insisted he had a long way to go before he could redeem himself in his own eyes. He only came back to the village once every few months before hitting the road again. She was looking forward for the day for him to stay for good, because maybe they could become more than what they are now. Sasuke-kun, Sakura thought as she pictured his dark eyes and handsome face. So next Friday is the engagement party? Tsunade asked to Naruto, who looked dismayed. Yeah. Hinata's old man and Kakashi-sensei think it's a good way to build relationship with other clans and the other villages, Naruto muttered, making it clear he wanted no part of it. Well, I have to agree with them. You two are among the elite of the shinobi world and you have to make connections, especially since you are going to be Hokage someday, Tsunade said and laughed when she noticed Naruto pouting a bit. This Gaki isn't the same loud kid that dragged me here all those years ago to lead the village when it was without a leader. He's all grown up now, Tsunade thought as she looked at the blonde young man who was talking to his friend and his bride. She recalled her time as the Godame and remembered being obligated to attend several political parties and gala events in order to maintain relationships with their allies. Being Hokage wasn't just a big pile of paperwork she still had nightmares about. There was also the politics that came with being a leader of a village filled with many shinobi and old, elite clans. But she knew Naruto would be able to handle it when the time came. He's already proven himself worthy of the title of Hokage many times before. You'll be a better Hokage than I was, that's for sure, Tsunade thought, and soon glanced at Hinata, who was giggling at something her fiancé said. Tsunade was always aware of the connection between the two shinobi, even before Naruto finally got a clue and asked her out. Hinata was a kind and sweet girl, and she knew she would take good care of Naruto. She knew her Gaki wouldn't be alone ever again. Thank you, Hinata-chan, Tsunade thought to herself in regards to the dark-haired girl who was going to make a wonderful wife to the grinning blonde. She knew the two had a very bright and happy future ahead of them, and they both deserved it, and Tsunade was certain there was nothing to spoil such a joyful union. Absolutely nothing could spoil the greatest day of her Gaki's and his lovely bride's lives. Right. To be continued. What if Hiashi wants Naruto to marry Hinata? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoyed this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel. And leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.